And we are on 34.
So we'll start the podcast now.
Okay. Okay.
35?
No, 35. I just told you 34.
34.
Come on.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Broken by Concept. Can't even talk, dude. Episode 34. Got a spicy one today.
You said that many times, by the way.
No, I've already said the last two, I think.
Really?
Yeah. Because that's when I genuinely believed it was
I've heard it probably 8 times. You said that this is going to be a spicy one. Okay. Why can't our podcast always be permanently spicy? We don't have to say anything.
It wasn't. Now it is.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
All right. That's why I think I've only said it like 3 times.
All right.
Someone's going to make a spicy montage of me saying spicy over all the episodes. So today, we're going to be talking about esports. This is something we've probably refrained from talking about.
Our podcast we don't really talk much about it. Well, let's again specifically the LEC and the LCS.
LCS and LEC.
We talk about Career March. We talk about Worlds a bit. We did talk about Worlds a bit, I think, when it was Worlds like time.
But I mean, we've refrained from talking about the business of esports for as long as possible, and I think it's time.
What do we know about business, Curtis? Just a bunch of young whippersnappers.
Yeah. I mean, so we'll get into that in a second, but I have a very funny, I want to say funny.
Oh, we got a
interesting point of view.
Interesting point
that
of
we
view.
got to dissect.
We're always open to different point of views on the Broken by Concept podcast.
I actually really love that we have so many different perspectives.
Yeah.
So, we have the Broken by Concept discussion channel on my Discord. And I think it was like 2 episodes ago we spoke about was it 2 or 3 episodes ago we spoke about the toxic carry mindset.
Yeah, I remember it was early January, one of those episodes, so 2-3 episodes ago.
And essentially what we define the carry toxic mindset was that we hear all the time with our clients, especially in gold and platinum and things like that, even lower than that, where, they feel the need to just like, I got to carry. To win game. If I'm not carrying, I'm losing. If I'm not carrying, I'm not getting out of this elo. I have to carry.
Well, their perception of carrying, that was the problem with it, is like you're 20-0.
You're 20-0, you're 12-0, you're getting like solo kills every game. You're just like walking around the map killing everyone. You have to genuinely be the carry because everyone else on your team is useless.
And the opinion that I put out there was that you can carry at specific moments of the game when you're playing weak side. You're like a top laner and your jungler's on the other side of the map. And your job, the way you carry, is through not dying.
That's right.
Sitting on your tower, not taking heavy trades.
Well, the premise of our point was that you don't need to carry to climb, right? We don't believe that's the case. If you are boosting, or you're smurfing, of course, then yeah, that's probably the fastest way to climb is you don't play this.
Well, yeah,
that's not really,
you don't actually improve from like carrying.
That's not really, yeah.
Like if you're carrying, you're
You're probably not in the elo that you're in a weird way. Yeah. It's very rare you carry, quote unquote, carry in your given elo. You're going to win, again, you should have, if you're climbing or you're a little bit above your level of play, you should only be having a 52% win rate or something like that. Just very slightly above 50%.
Incrementally climbing the ranks.
Right.
Slowly but surely.
So anyway, we have Zinnia here from my Discord. Good old Zinnia. And this is what he said. He said, I strongly disagree with coaches' opinions on the carry mindset. Because our just to clarify one more time, we believe that having this carry mindset or trying to carry every game was toxic because...
It's a negative.
Well, it's a negative because you're not actually just identifying your role in the game and trying to figure out what the win conditions are. You're trying to go above and beyond to largely compensate for your teammates in a weird way. Do things that aren't even necessarily the most optimal decisions. And you put all this unnecessary pressure on you.
Yeah, that's where it's really negative, toxic. And actually, in a way, leads you to blame your teammates a little bit more.
Definitely.
Because it's like, I have to carry this game because my teammates are automatically so bad.
Right. So he says this, I think he's extremely biased as a high elo player and doesn't realize that until high gold in 2 out of 3 games, you can consistently have 0 threat from any lanes. There are games where you quite literally have to play a flawless lane phase and kill 3 or 4 people in a team fight to have a chance at winning that game. And I've seen these games even in plat, albeit less often. Now, before I continue on, let's just break down this.
There's
argument
more
so
to
far.
this.
There's more. There's
Oh,
more to
okay.
this.
All right.
So far,
So his first point is that you're high elo, so
my opinion,
it's different.
It's just different. The game's just different. That's one part of it, and the next part of it is that until about high gold, 66% of games you can consistently have zero threat from any lane, and you have to literally play flawless, kill 3 people in every team fight to even have a chance at winning these games.
Okay, the first thing I instantly think is that individual player is consistently having zero threat. So he's having it 70% of the time, but the opposition is having it 30% of the time. So already that's flawed, right? Because you're that's an instant victim mentality, because you're thinking that you're special. You're the one with no threat in your laners. Like more than 50% of the time.
More than 50% of the time. Unless you have to be the one contributing to it.
If you were to queue up the same amount of time as someone else, you're the one that's going to have the inconsistent. They're going to have huge threat in their lane.
Yeah, so that ridiculous. It already doesn't make sense.
Yeah, okay.
It's flawed already. Yeah. But, yes.
Okay.
What Zanir needs to understand is that, yes, there are going to be games. These games are just not... The ones you're talking about right now, they happen in every elo, and you just don't win them.
Mm.
Okay, cool. I understand that there are going to be these games. You know, I would no way say 2 out of 3 games, 66% of the time, though. Absolutely it just makes no sense. No. Like, just numbers-wise.
That's saying you have 3 losing lanes. That's what it's saying?
Yeah, he says you can consistently have zero threat from any lane. Yeah. And you said you had to play flawless and kill 3 people. Yes, we talk about this in the 30-30-40 rule, right? Where, you know, these games, there's probably 30% of games where you have to play flawless. Again, you're likely not going to win many of these games. You might do it every now and then, very occasionally, but the system actually doesn't want you to win these games because otherwise you'd climb too easily, you know? So these exist, and right now, before we go on, what I'm gathering from this is that he's had a few painful experiences recently, maybe a few unlucky games in a row, and he's tunneling in on them and putting an emphasis on those rather than the wins. Okay, so let's go on. He says there are 2 ways of dealing with these games. You can either blame your teammates or become a better player and learn to play as a carry and simultaneously improve your micro and macro. By teaching low elo players not to learn to carry, you are losing them a shot at games they would otherwise would have won simply for the sake of becoming a better player down the road if they chose to become a high elo player. I agree with the fact that the mindset behind it is flawed, but teaching players how to carry with a positive mindset has much better results in the shorter term than teaching them fundamentally good habits. It really depends on how far they want to go on their climbing journey. So here, but the way he's talking, it seems like he views playing as a carry is different to playing the fundamentals, which is just not the case whatsoever.
I think you put it really well. We spoke about this when I think you brought that up a week or so ago when you talked about it, and you said, okay, so if that person's not carrying, what's the alternative? What's he doing? He's not carrying.
Yeah, what does that look like? If we get specific here, like what's going on?
So he's like intentionally not taking low percentage plays.
I mean, I genuinely don't even know what carrying even means. Like if we talk about, okay, think about you have a situation. We're going to make it a bit technical here, right? Okay. Say you're a jungler and you're heading into the river.
I am a jungler.
Yeah, you're heading into the river and you have like a choice. You have like, there's probably like maybe 6 choices. You could like go right and like loop around mid. You can go left to go to bot lane. You can continue straight, invade. You could just sit there on the spot, sweep, place sweep, or just recall. All right, there's like 6 or 7 options, whatever it is. Apparently one of them is the carry option. One of them's, or the rest of them are not carry options, right? Is that right? I mean, this is what if this argument were to be true, that's the way he's viewing the game.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, that's what I'm trying to gather here. What let's be specific.
When
how do you determine what is a carry move and what is it not? Because a decision is just ultimately it's just one decision made, and you make hundreds or thousands of these decisions throughout a game, right? And I'm assuming that he's interpreting the carry mindset is picking the carry choice every time, but that's just not true. I mean, being the carry, I think. Okay, let's clarify what we believe carrying, the way he might be interpreting carrying. Now, let's try and dissect this. The way I'm thinking of it is that he feels like he needs to take all the resources as like from other people, even at the sacrifice of other people.
Okay.
And, like,
so a carry,
let other people die.
A carry option would be to take CS, and take CS.
Yeah, take more resources
Yeah.
and let your teammates die and
Yeah.
split push all the time and like try and like 1v9 team fights in a way, like that 1v9 style, you know, where the people always say like, I'm gonna come in with the flank and kill people or whatever it is. I don't know. So you're just really fed and everyone else on your team is weak. And you win those games by just being really fed, I'm assuming.
Okay. You know, that's actually so interesting.
But it's, you know, I think that's actually the way to lose, by the way.
Yeah, you know how you just said there? Like, I just thought, now it just made sense in my mind. There is a carry option to still CS, take resources as much as possible for yourself. But the interesting thing is, that took me a while to compute for some reason.
Interesting.
Because that's not how I view about what good League of Legends is for my role specifically.
No, I don't. Yes,
Like,
your role.
like stealing
yes,
a lane as CS.
But even as a mid laner,
only happens sometimes.
I think it's very specific to the game, the champion, the situation.
Yeah.
There are some situations,
Yeah.
very very niche situations where like I have to just play the way I'm playing Victor. I'm playing like incredibly selfish. I won't attend a single fight for ages because I just know I'm behind. And if I attend it, I know that their champions won't be able to deal with the enemy champions just based off comp. For example, I have like have a mage bot lane, right? Or something like that. And then like, I know that even if I would help them and get them ahead, it won't actually lead to anything in a way. And I'd much rather the resources on myself.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just trying to, scrape for something here. But, I mean, what I'm getting at is these games, the games where you have to make those sorts of decisions, it's just very high level League of Legends, which is just not needed to climb all the way to master.
Well, yeah, it's not a normal journey, right? Because let's say I or you and I will play in gold. Okay, I'm just trying to think how I'll play differently.
Dude,
right?
I did it. Not even that long ago.
Yeah,
Around the start of March or something last year, I started an unranked challenger series.
Not long ago, Curtis. This is
not that long ago.
A year in now.
Probably like 8 months ago or something.
Okay,
right?
all right.
It was not that long ago.
That's a long time, Curtis.
Comparatively, when's the last time played in gold?
Yeah, it would have been for one of my guides, my Eve guy. No, not Eve. Yeah, my Eve guy probably.
When was that?
Yeah, probably 4 or 5 months ago.
Oh, okay. So you're actually before me then. So what was your experience like?
Yeah. Okay. So let me just say. Let me just talk about. Okay. So this is I'm not, my mindset when I'm playing these games is not to carry. What I'm doing, which looks like that I'm carrying, is I'm punishing the enemy jungler for mistakes. I'm getting easier kills because people don't respect me. So like this is what I'm doing specifically, and it looks like I'm carrying, but no, this is the decision making. This is what I'm doing.
You're not going into a game thinking I have to carry. I'm not thinking that when I play gold. When I played in gold, I played whatever. I literally played Lux. I played Xerath. I played whatever. Right.
I'm knowing what fights to take, what fights not to take. I know.
All right, so anyway, I think we're getting in a hole here, Nathan. Like, I think we just come back out a bit here. All
right, let's drag me out, Curtis.
Let's go out a little bit here.
I just thought it was so interesting right there is that I again, maybe it is because we're in high elo, because again, I would never take farm from my laner unless it was a very specific situation.
Nathan, you don't climb
but
through playing
that's
like that.
Not the reason. Like if I think about my journey and stuff, like really what I was doing, I was just understanding like efficient pathing.
You're playing to your champion's identity
basic
really well.
league fundamentals.
League fundamentals every time.
There's no carrying thing.
There's no carrying.
Carrying's not a league fundamental.
It's not. This is the problems in here, is that the fundamentals is what allows you to carry. All the fundamentals are, it allows you to replicate getting leads. Right? If you think about what allows you to carry, kills, gold, experience, resources. How do you get them? You get them through superior wave control, through jungle tracking, through great quality warding, creative playmaking, timing their buffs, through resource management, good quality tempo bases, which leads you to getting roams. These are all fundamentals.
Then tracking the jungler so then you don't die, which will not eliminate. You might lose short-term CS, but you won't die and lose a lot more CS. So that's like another thing as well.
These are the fundamentals that allow you to be strong.
That's right.
And the problem with this carry, I don't know. At the end of the day, the carry mindset is like you're heading into a game. You think everyone else is terrible on my team,
bad. And they all happen to be good.
And the enemies all happen to be good. So I have to play above and beyond my level.
Yeah.
I have to go above and beyond my role and my job just to win this game. It's just not the case. Because at the end of the day, dude, is that like the only thing you can ever ask for is to do your job and adapt to what is happening in that game. If it doesn't win you the game, it doesn't win you the game. It's not. This is the problem with the whole. This is my main problem with this is that when you watch a streamer or a content creator a lot of the time on YouTube and Twitch and things like that, they're carrying because they're playing at an elo that is significantly lower than where they're at. They don't carry at their elo.
No.
None of them.
No.
Go to any one of these content creators, put them in the elo that they are genuinely at. I guarantee you they will not carry. It's all relative. Yes, I'm a high elo player and I carry in gold, but I don't carry in challenger. You say you're a platinum player, you can carry in silver, but you're not going to carry in platinum. That's all it is. Yes, I'm a high elo, but it's not. The game's not any different. It's the same game. You know, someone gets behind, someone gets ahead. It's the same thing in a way. So my problem with this whole thing is that like, why I think your arguments in here is a little bit flawed here is that I don't think I'm teaching anything different. I don't think there is a difference.
I think the word. I hate the word. I think it's literally. It's a really lazy word.
It is a lazy word. It's not specific.
It's very lazy, and it's just like we just group everything under this. It's like what this like means.
Okay,
you know?
and some people may say carrying is split pushing and getting heaps of resources, right? That's not how you win in gold.
No.
And or platinum. Maybe high plat. You have to start being in the side lane more, but gold. This is all gold is. Gold is 15 minutes ARAMs. So your job is to be as strong as possible by 15 minutes and you do your job better than the enemy. Or be stronger than the enemy by the time it gets to 15 minutes, protect yourself at all times, and then try and do your job better than the enemy. So which requires the fundamentals of lane, so you can get ahead in the laning phase, get gold advantages, XP advantages, and then also understanding your role better, which requires you to understand your champion's identity very well. And that's where champion mastery comes into play. So, yeah, no, Zinnia. I mean, I like that you're coming back with this, and I'd love to hear back from what you think about this. But I would have to respectfully disagree with your take, and I'm going to continue to tell people that they should not use the word carry, and even have the mindset to carry, unless you're smurfing, in which you probably don't need to watch my content anyway. Does that answer that question, Nathan?
Is there more? And let's say in terms of if you want to carry, okay, and you is now we're choosing champions. So it's like, is there in mid lane? There's more carry champions than others? Would you? There definitely is, right?
In mid lane, yes. You know,
using
like,
the term
like champion like carries like people. Okay, so a
like
carry,
Ziggs versus Akali.
Okay, no. So this is the thing. A carry by concept is a champion that has low cooldowns.
Yeah.
They have low cooldowns and the ability to a lot of sustained damage. They need to have sustained damage and low cooldowns. That's why Cassiopeia, Yone, Yasuo, Akali, yeah. Like these
for jungle, it's stuff like Eve, Hecarim.
Yeah,
that's all I got for
I like
now. Kindred,
like champions with low cooldowns, and scaling ideally, but. These are the champions that carry. That's why
champions that aren't tanks, really.
Even like Victor, in a way, is not really and also they need to ideally thrive in the side lane.
Okay.
Not because they want to split push, but because it allows them to get more resources. So they be there, shove it all the way out, then move. A champion like Ziggs, for example, can't really do that. Yes, they can team fight and scale pretty well, but they can't operate in the side lane. They're too immobile, so they can't even shove the wave out fully. So they actually can't get enough resources.
So is it correct to recommend to a bronze, silver, gold player to play a carry champion?
No, dude. No. Because, okay, and if we were to get specific here then, let's say what you would learn different. There's different skill sets in the... This is not carry versus non-carry. These are just different skill sets in a way. Well, actually, no. It's the same skill set, but you're choosing the different option. For example, you're assessing... So think about as a... let's talk about the concept of... trying to get as many resources as possible. Right? As a champion like Orianna, at certain parts in the game, you're probably too threatened to go to the side lane. So you have to find other ways to get a lot of resources, whether it's you take jungle camps around you, whether you always take efficient bases, and you have to group more often to punish the person who is getting more resources. So there's counterplay to everything. Just because they have strengths, they also have weaknesses. What's the weaknesses to split pushing? They're not grouped with a team. Engage.
Yeah.
So like it's like people feel like playing that carry champion that, you know, scales, can sit in the side lane, has lower cooldowns, is better. It's just not the case because there's sacrifices to it. I would much rather verse those champions when I'm climbing because I know that they take so long to scale. They don't thrive in the front to back 5v5 team fight until way later on in the game. And I'm going to have the agency in the entire early game to do whatever I want. You know?
But then the argument's like, well, we are playing this, we always go late game all the time. We can't close.
Yeah, but there's
out the
better
game.
champions that like scale in a way that don't split push.
Like so, my instantly was always a champion. I think that doesn't scale. Is really strong early game. He's like Renekton, right?
Yeah. No, but I'm even talking about mages like control, like Seraphine.
Yeah,
Seraphine doesn't side lane, but I think she's amazing for gold and even platinum.
Okay,
think about it
because she scales so well. Because
she has decent solo laning, really easy to minimize no matter what. She's great in the 15-minute ARAMs. And she scales incredibly well into like mid to late game. Very good scaling. But she doesn't split push. But you have other strengths,
That's
right?
her strengths, yeah.
Victor as well and Orianna. They don't really split push. You know?
I mean, there really isn't. And at the end of the day, you know, we talk so much about Champion Master on this podcast. You're not going to...
You got to pick a champion you love at the end of the day, dude. That's it.
Yeah, you pick it. That's it. Pick a champion you love.
Out.
Figure it out. And through understanding the league fundamentals, not about the champion. Yes, Champion Mastery is important. Remember, the point of Champion Mastery is you get so good at the champion, you don't have to think about using your abilities anymore. You can understand, you can play, you can learn the game.
Well, you know, this is the thing, dude. I get people on my Discord say, you know, they want champions that can carry. They literally say that. I've had people on my Discord say, I want to play champions that can carry. They want to play the Akali.
But then
they want to play the Aurelia.
What you'll do is you'll review a game, okay, of the person.
Yeah.
They're taking a numbers disadvantage fight.
Yeah.
Tell me how that's relevant for that.
Yeah, it's not relevant.
They're missing CS.
Or they're dying to a random gank.
They're basing incorrectly.
Yeah.
They are
missing CS, taking bad trades, not warding.
Tell me how a carry champion solves your problem.
Doesn't solve the problem at all.
You know?
I know. This is what I'm trying to get across.
I'm so passionate about this subject, Curtis, because I'm like, I don't know. I actually don't really hear that anymore, to be honest. Maybe.
Okay, if you guys are not convinced, go to my unranked. I stopped the unranked challenger videos because I didn't want to do them.
Yeah.
I have a game where I play Lux.
Yeah.
Look at what happens in that game.
Cool. That's perfect. Yeah, Lux is not a carry.
I literally don't do. I do the absolute fundamentals.
Yeah.
Great bases.
Yeah.
Poke when the enemy walks up to CS. Did my job, play the front to back team fights, just win the game. That's and this is me, and I tried to not do anything crazy. Just played standard. Just showed you what would happen.
That's great. That's a good example.
It's a great example.
And again, what you're doing there is you're playing to your champion's strengths.
That's all I'm doing.
You're carrying with Lux through her strengths.
But yes, but I'm not even carrying it away. I'm doing my job. But if you do your job well enough over a long period of time, you win more games than you lose. You know? That's how I feel in SoloQ sometimes. Like, all you got to do is do your job better than the enemy's doing their job in mid lane. And then you play the numbers game and you'll win over time with a 55% win rate or whatever it is. You're not going to get a 70% win rate. You're not going to get that anyway. That's a problem with the carry mindset. Like, your expectation is that you can win way more games with this way of playing. But the other thing as well, last point before we move on from this, is a lot of these carry champions, they have, like... The skills required to genuinely carry with it aren't realistic. You're not actually going to... That champion isn't a carry when you play it. You know? Because you're not going to get 9 CS per minute as Cassiopeia, know exactly how to perfect threat assessment, how to peel and play front to back, and understand jungle tracking and like warding and everything so you can side lane, push the sides out. And no, you're not adapting to... First of all, you don't have those skills. And you actually genuinely cannot develop them because you're trying to develop high-level skills before the basics. But also on top of that, that's not how you win in those elo brackets because everyone's groups anyway. That's the other thing. It's genuinely sabotaging your chances of winning because the way the games just play out.
Yeah. I always get scared when I have to say the game's played differently here, so you got to play differently. Like, is that the case? Is it like,
dude, gold? You have to.
You have
I've
to.
tried. The advice that I've given just gets people results now.
yeah,
I've seen it. When I first started playing, like coaching gold, I didn't
Yeah.
know this.
Yeah.
And this is something I had to figure out because I learned through painful experiences of people getting no results in gold.
yeah.
Tried to
But,
say-
wait, what were you doing with gold players beforehand?
I'd always say like, oh, here, you should just, shove out the side lane deep, get farm, then move.
Yeah.
But I realized that even when they did that and they got the farm, even that was on paper the correct play, the team wouldn't listen to pings or they wouldn't they would just die.
So what would you say alternatively that gets them results?
Now,
Yeah.
is that you always, you have to just group first. Group first.
Yeah.
Get the vision, see what's happening.
What
then-
happens if you're weaker?
You just don't have a choice, dude. You got to group.
You go to group.
There's no
Okay.
choice.
Yeah.
And if you're weaker, that's end of review. If you're getting to 50
Oh yeah,
minutes
that's
and weaker,
right. That's right. That's
end of
interview. Then you just focus on
That's
early
what I'm saying.
game. That's right. Yeah.
That's why I only focus on the first 12
Yeah.
minutes of the game
Yeah.
in gold.
Yeah, I mean that's why I had my your first jungle clear. Yeah, I mean to be honest, most
If you're
of my
not stronger
reviews
than your
are-
opponent at 12 minutes, then you've already failed the game.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean league, you shouldn't be winning games when you're weaker.
No.
That's not how it works fundamentally, isn't it?
That's right. And if you really want to, just use the word one last time. If you really want to carry,
yeah.
play a scaling champion and win lane. That's why boosters, they
Yeah,
don't boost
that's
with
right.
Pantheon
Yeah.
Talia in mid jungle. They can, but they don't. Oh, okay, let's say in SoloQ. They don't boost with Pantheon. They don't boost with Renekton. They don't boost with Jace. You can dominate lane all you want. They boost with champions at scale.
Like what, Kassadin?
Yeah, well, yeah, Kassadin, even like control mages like Victor, you can just carry hard lane, dominate lane. That's why Syndra was another popular one. You could dominate lane and then scale really well.
With like Gathering Storm.
Even like Fizz, because Fizz actually kind of scales.
Yeah, sorry, Fizz, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you gotta play champions that scale. So if you win lane and scale, it's a win-win, dude.
Wait, some boosters play Talon and stuff, Curtis.
Yeah, Talon's kind of an exception because you can just roam incredibly.
Yeah.
It's like an insane roam
Yeah.
champion. And those guys usually duo though.
Alright, so what's the wrap up of that topic?
The wrap
Curtis?
up.
Carrying. Oh, I personally don't like the word. I don't want to use. I don't use it in any of my coaching at all. And we don't want to hear it
No,
anymore.
well, what I'm going to say to wrap it up is like I think that there are some games where you have to put on the carry shoes in a way. It's like
Yeah.
your job is to be the main source of damage
Yeah.
and probably take more resources than you would have otherwise had to, purely because of the way the game is played out.
But right there, you're making the best decision.
Yeah, you're just
given
making the best
current
decision
information.
based off what you see.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say that's a very common thing.
It's not like a carry mindset you have all the time. It's like,
and
I
it,
have a
and
carry
it very
player.
much depends on the champions you play.
Yeah.
You know, if you're playing if you're playing like a bitch and playing like a facilitator as like, Aurelia, then just don't play the champion. You know, so it depends on the champ you're playing as well. So I think that wraps that up in a way.
Okay, so I want to give everyone an update on my SoloQ because we said we're doing this.
Okay.
Do you want to do an update on your SoloQ as well?
Okay.
Because I love sharing my journey, my experiences. You know, it's only like, is it 2 weeks in the season? 3 weeks. It's 3 weeks now, isn't it? Yeah, I think it's 3 weeks.
Yeah, about 3 weeks. Yeah.
Wait, is it?
Yeah, because it was the 8th of Jan, right?
Yeah, 14. Dude, it's 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Wait, it came at 8th of the Jan, so it's the 25th. 8 plus 14 equals 22. Okay, so it's a little bit over 2 weeks, yeah.
All right. Anyway,
It's not even 3 weeks yet. That's
what's
pretty
going
crazy.
on with you, Nathan?
All right, so I'm currently sitting in Grandmeister.
Yep.
Grandmeister. I always used to say that.
Grandmeister?
Grandmeister
Yeah.
from Game of Thrones. I was like to Curtis all the time, I just want to be a Grandmeister.
All right.
So I'm Grandmaster, 211 LP. I have a 54% win rate. I'm ranked 48 on the OCE server, if that means anything. I have started to play a little bit more Hecarim. And I feel like my Nunu's dropping off for some reason.
Interesting.
And it's weird. I don't know what's going on. So, because the first my first week, I said I had a 14% win on Hecarim.
Yeah.
I think I have 50% now, but
Yeah.
I feel just a bit better on him because Nunu, some games, especially, again, this is from a high-low perspective, some games I really feel useless. Like, I need AD mids, I feel, with Nunu. Yeah.
Okay.
I need, like, the Yone, Pantheon, Renekton, Talon, all that sort of stuff, And I feel just so much more disadvantaged playing that. I mean, it's fine. I mean, you can definitely... It's not the reason why I feel like Nunu's dropping off or whatever, but, like, yeah, some games just feel really bad. Like literally, like I'm losing this game because I have no options. You know, because like I have all weak lane. Because if you have all weak laners with Nunu, you don't really scale.
So what are you focusing on right now?
What am I focusing on in terms of learning objective?
What are you trying to improve on?
I'm improving tracking the enemy jungler and sharing that information with my team. That's all I'm focusing on right now, and I feel like it's going. I feel like it's going really well. I feel like I feel so comfortable in in my games because I know I have an idea where the jungler is at all times, and I know whether the counter gank. I know what they're gonna do. I know. I'm also thinking 2 minutes ahead. Okay, if they've lost tempo here, what can I get on the back end of that? It's like let's say they spend a lot of time in one area of the map. I know they're gonna have to reset, go topside, and then I have a window to sneak into that area that they were before to steal their camps. You know, like let's say if the bot side Gromp and Blue and stuff like that.
So why do you lose games?
I'm losing. Also, mechanics. Here's a huge one. I'm mechanically misplaying a lot. Like, because you know, I'm definitely getting outclassed. I'd say mechanically in some of these games, especially against like the you know the top mid laners and stuff. And sometimes I'm failing ganks. What else is going on? I mean, looking at my OPG, like I actually know what because I know I've been reviewing all my games. I know what's happened in all those games, and again, there's nothing here that I feel like I can't fix. You know?
You feel like you're on the way up.
Yeah, I feel like I'm improving, and something really stuck with me as well.
Yeah.
So we're UFC fans, me and Curtis.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, are we UFC fans? We like picky sort of with the UFC fights we watch.
I would say we enjoy watching it. I wouldn't say we're hardcore fans by any means.
And so Conor McGregor was a big fight yesterday. Conor McGregor versus
That's
Dustin. And I'm a big Conor McGregor fan myself, okay? I'm not going to make excuses for him. He lost. Spoiler alert. I mean, if you don't know that, like, you know, you obviously don't follow the UFC. And there's something he said about just he felt just rusty. He's got to get that rust off because he hadn't fought for a year. And like it's like there is an element to it, and I'm feeling really comfortable. Okay, so the perfect analogy is like because I'm playing in challenger games all the time now, essentially. Like I'm playing, you know, because last season I was always in diamond, right? So I would play randomly sometimes when I was in diamond the challenger games, but once every like 10 games, and I'd feel like I'm in a different game. But now that I'm always playing in challenger games all the time, I'm feeling comfortable with like the pace of the game, you know, all that sort of stuff. And that's like, again, I think I'm getting better a lot quicker because I'm understanding, because I'm losing games for my team sometimes, just hardcore straight up. Like I've been called some bad stuff over the last couple of days. And there's like, what Conor McGregor says is really resonating with me. It's like, you got to get in it. And this is why I think for League as well, I was thinking about it today, you can't just be on and off with League. You can't play for 2 months and then like, you have exams or something like that and you stop playing. Like, unfortunately. I feel like if you really want to consistently improve at the game...
You got to make time.
You got to make time and just be... Even if it's a little bit of time.
This is also kind of...
You got to get into it.
What you're saying as well is that the better your opponents are, the faster you improve.
That too as well.
So this is also why playing on a second account hurts you big time.
Yeah.
Like, you can still slightly improve... You know, but like you're just going to improve way better by losing in a higher Lilo.
Yeah.
You learn way more.
Absolutely, dude. And I'm feeling so comfortable. It's like I feel like this is my arena. Like playing at these challenger games, I'm starting to feel that, which is awesome, dude. Which is interesting.
It'll be super interesting to see how you go over the next few months.
I would say the next few months is going to be very interesting. But I would say right now I have a lot of confidence.
It's good as, dude.
Which is great. And how you going, Curtis?
I'm at 38 wins, 42 losses, 48% win rate.
Love it. How cool is that, Curtis? You have a 40%.
Yeah, I love it, dude.
A 48% win rate. From top 10 last year to a 48%
win rate. And yeah, I've just been figuring out my pool. Because I removed Echo. So I'm in the process of adding in Fizz. I've only played 11 games with Fizz so far. I've barely got any games. My most played is Victor 28. And then below that's Fizz with 11. I'm 55% weight on Fizz, getting there slowly. And then, I'm to be honest, I'm not even sure about my AD pick mid. I thought it was going to be Renekton, but I actually which I actually pretty good at, but I actually really like Jace. Which is going to be tough for me, but I'm not really caring about the win rate. Like, I kind of feel like I've always been comfortable with Jace. And I think that if I can get really good at Jace, then, he'd be a worthy investment. But I'm still thinking about that, quite honestly. And then Cassio. So I have Victor, Fizz, Cassio my 3. And then my 4th, my AD, I'm really unsure. I'm weighing up between Renekton and Jace. I'm kind of putting Yone to the side for now. I just don't feel like I'm ready to put in the time with him.
Yeah.
Because with Jace, I've played him a lot in the past.
Yeah.
Renekton, I've played him a lot in the past.
Yeah.
I don't want to add in a brand new
AD mid.
AD. I just don't.
Yeah.
I just don't want to go through that process anymore. Because I did that with Echo, and I'm done with that. It takes a long time, and I just don't want to do it.
So what are you at? You're at 280 LP?
288.
What
yeah.
rank's that?
41.
41.
So, yeah, I feel like I'm getting a lot more comfortable with Fizz, though. I've struggled a lot at the start when I tried to re-put him back into my pool. I lost like the first 6 games I played with him. But I won all the rest of them, which is pretty cool.
Okay, do you want to respond to the people calling you a hypocrite about Echo? Do you have anything to talk about that?
I mean, again...
So that's from last episode, so you
Well, no,
got rid
because
of
at the end of
Echo.
the day, for me, you got to enjoy the champion you play.
Yeah.
Like, when push comes to shove,
Yeah.
if you don't enjoy the champion you play, it can't work.
You just weren't enjoying Echo
I genuinely was not enjoying my time. Because the way I was playing Echo before that was getting me results, I enjoyed that. I felt super comfortable relaxing, play off my power spikes, and kind of being getting to my rocket belt and then being super impactful. But that style, although it will work really well in other elos, it just... In Master Plus, there are too many counter picks right now to Echo. I just don't... First of all, I can't pick it, even when I have a lot of champion mastery. I can't... And if I wanted to do that and say, yes, there is a level of champion mastery that if I could get really good at those bad matchups, I don't enjoy the champion enough to get into the details. So, for example, before you could pick Echo, and then there was the counter picks that was pretty hard ones. There's Akali's pretty much unplayable, and then you have Silas, which is really, really hard. And then there's other ones like Kassadin, which is impossible as well. He has really hard counter matchups. So you can't really blind pick it. But even if you played one of those really hard ones like a Silas, there are miniature ways to kind of deal with it. But you have to get very spicy with the runes and builds and summon a spell. You have to take Ignite and then maybe Halo Blades and start E and just try out different things. It's I thought to myself, I can go down this route, but I'm not having fun right now.
I feel like that's a potentially dangerous narrative, Curtis. Because people can... To push.
They need to push. I agree.
Because if because I have lower elo clients all the time, they are giving up on things because they're not enjoying it, but they're not enjoying it because they're seeing the results.
I get that
dangerous.
as well. Because you actually have more fun when you get good. I say that all the time.
Yeah.
But for me, well, it's a combination of that. Even if I put in the time and get to that point, it's the champ just sucks at high elo, dude. It just fucking sucks at the end of the day.
Okay. Yeah.
Why play Echo when he doesn't have a clear identity comparatively to all these other champions?
Yeah.
That's the other thing as well, I'm thinking. Let's just say I get really good at Echo. I don't think I could ever couldn't pick him that often, even if I was insanely good at him. It's not like Orianna. If you're really good at Orianna, you can do whatever you want. You can get to rank 1 with that champion. You can't get to rank 1 with Echo. You just can't. The champ's just fundamentally flawed in high elo. That's why it's a very niche counter pick. And the times where you see it a lot is when it's super strong. Even 610, probably one of the best Echoes in EU, up there, top 3 easily, struggles with it. Really struggles with it. And I'm well, that guy's mastered that champion.
Yeah, he's putting way more hours than you have.
Well, that's an understatement. He's probably got 1,000 more hours than me on it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just don't want to do it, dude. End of story. I don't know what to say. It's just I don't want to play it.
Okay.
I'm sticking with my Fizz. I played Fizz for a few seasons. I'm sticking with my Cassio, my bread and butter, my Victor, my bread and butter. And then figure out my 4th one then. That's it. But the thing is, everyone's telling me why play Cassio. The Cassio sucks.
Yeah.
It does suck, but I enjoy the champ.
There you go.
So that's the counter argument.
Yeah. So Echo, you feel sucks in high elo, but you don't enjoy it. It's worth enough to try and make it work.
Cassio sucks, kind
but
of.
You're happy.
But I'm happy to figure out and make it work in a way,
Yeah.
I'm happy to go through the pain of Cassio because I genuinely love the champ, and I think I could there's more creative ways, things I could do in a way. It has a clear identity, has a very clear identity.
Okay, but there isn't a limit to this because we don't want to see.
Definitely.
I don't want to see people going around. They love Malphite and they play Malphite jungle.
Right.
That's scary message as well, Curtis. To be put. What happens if you start saying Udyr mid lane? It's because I enjoy Udyr. I want to play it mid lane.
Well, okay. This is the sad reality, dude. Is that we're not normal league players.
Yeah.
What applies to a challenger level player just doesn't apply to you're at the top 0.001%.
It's a different game.
It just doesn't. I've been playing the game for 11 years, dude. Literally, it's my 11th season. Think about that. Played since season 1. Like just whatever I say or whatever I do, it's you have to. There's so much more context behind it. So if you want to think I'm a hypocrite, you can think I'm a hypocrite and I'm sub from my YouTube. I don't give a shit, honestly, because you know that if people really know me, they know that I'm not a hypocrite.
Yeah.
It's just an exception. This is like a rare exception.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out 4 champions that all have a clear identity, that work in high elo games that I really enjoy. I'm gonna fail. I had a shocking win rate with Fizz. I stuck through it. I still have a shocking win rate with Casio. I have a 33% win rate over 6 games so far. I'm probably gonna stay at 33% for the next 20 as well.
I love it.
But I'll figure it out.
You'll figure it out because you enjoy it.
That's right.
All right, well, I'm glad we cleared the air with that because it's the elephant in the room.
No, but also if someone, and that's what I tell people all the time, my loyalty. If I tell gold people, they say they want to play a Kali, and I say,
okay,
if you really love the champion, play it.
Play it, yeah.
I even say that, even though that's not what I would recommend.
Yeah,
play it.
Yeah,
you know, because if you love a champion enough, you can find a way to make it work. At the end of the day,
just make sure that you're not hating a champion for the wrong reasons.
If you hate a champion just because you're losing,
yeah, that's what I feel what people do.
I mean, I would say mine's a combination though. I was hating Echo because
it must be right. Yeah,
I just don't know first of all, when do I pick it?
Yeah,
but even the way I was winning felt bad. Even when I was winning, I wasn't having fun with Echo. That's the problem.
Got it.
On this new style, I mean, with this new patch, this season 11, when I won a few games, right? But it's like when I win, it's just like it felt so underwhelming, dude. I had like perfect CS, flawless, and it was still feel very, very average.
Yeah,
I wasn't having fun at all. So why play? I genuinely got to the point where I was saying, I spoke to this to Six, and I was like, "What's the point of playing Echo, dude, in these games?" That's how I feel. I don't know. All right.
So we're moving on to the big topic.
Here we go.
Esports, electronic sports. I got some notes here, my little notebook here.
So, this is less going to be about like the sport. It's more about the business side.
Side of things.
This is what and let's just say a bit about us, right? Why listen to us about this? You know, why would someone give a shit about our opinions?
Some young whippersnippers
about esports business. Like, what do we know, right?
Well, we were in esports for a while.
We were in esports quite a long time. We've seen a lot, spoke to a lot of people.
Yep. Traveled the world.
And specifically Nathan that was his job.
I was the team owner, manager of Direwolves.
Nathan's job was to make sure we made money.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And yes, we understand that.
Thought about it a lot.
We're in Australia, so it's a different
market.
Different market. But from what we've seen in other teams internationally, because we are not completely disconnected from other teams, we have contacts and spoken to people. It's not that different at all. Numbers are a little bit different, but the problems are still the same.
So a business model is a business model at the end of the day, isn't it?
Same business model.
Same business. That's what we were trying to do. So,
well, what is the business model, Nathan? Let's break down the business model of a esports team.
Okay.
In League of Legends.
So when you say a business model, you're talking about how to make money, right?
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's a business, right?
Okay, so
how do they make money?
So League of Legends esports in general has been famous for the last couple of years. It's like 90% of your revenue is from sponsorship, and like 10% maybe other little things like merch, digital revenue from like icon sales and stuff like that.
What about rev share from the league?
The league as well. Well, I mean, the league would have to be making money. Yeah, I guess you'd categorize that as sponsorship.
Sponsorship?
Maybe not. Maybe rev share, revenue share. But I'd say it's sponsorship because the revenue from the league is also sponsorship. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what it traditionally is in esports.
And how does this differ to a traditional sport? How does the esports business model differ to, say, soccer, say the English Premier League or the NBA or something like that? Australian Open, tennis.
So ticket sales, we know is a bit. Remember when we spoke to, was it Nigel Smart from LA Crows?
Yep.
We said, I remember having a conversation something about some game was cancelled or something like that. And he says, does that affect you much? And he says, yeah, ticket sales are like 40% off. I don't actually know the percentage, but
very high number.
He emphasized it was big.
And I know in the NFL it's massive.
Yeah.
Ticketing is absolutely
massive. It's also tied into their membership and stuff, right? So that just doesn't exist for esports right now. I mean, there's
Well, first
ticketing.
of all, memberships for teams don't exist.
No.
I mean, Cloud9 have one.
They tried one.
They're trying one. At the
That's
moment,
interesting.
I think.
Actually, want to.
It'd be interesting to see how that goes.
That's
but-
like a really expensive one. It's like $1,000
Super
or something, right?
expensive.
It's like for super fans.
But there's no ticketing, which is massive. Massive, massive, massive. Okay, so that's the big difference, would you say? TV rights.
And TV right deals. That's right.
Which is huge as well.
Yeah. And right now it's just all Twitch through the league as well. Again, the idea is that, okay, well then LCS signs a deal with YouTube or Twitch or something like that. They get a cut and they share that with the teams and the players and that sort of stuff, right? I mean, I don't know how that goes because Twitch has so much leverage, you know, because Twitch is Twitch. It's like they're not going to stream on Twitch. Like have an exclusive platform.
Well, they're on YouTube as well, so it can't be exclusive.
Yeah, it's not exclusive right now. I don't
So,
believe so.
we don't even know if they do have a deal.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. So
Let's we've clarified what the business model is.
yeah,
Now,
those are the ways you make money. Yeah.
and
Well, you know what I think the actual... So this is like the actual business model is though, Curtis, for an LCS team or LEC team. Okay, you buy a team for $10 million.
Yep.
Okay. What the strategy right now really is like, okay, so you spend all this money that you don't have, right? It's just like investor money,
yeah.
right? With the idea that your franchise is suddenly going to be $100 million, $500 million, $1 billion in 5-6 years. So let's say if you come in with a team, and let's say a $10 million buy-in for the slot, that's how much it was. And then over the next 5-10 years, you spend $50 million.
Those are on player salaries,
Yeah.
gaming houses, office spaces, transport, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty reasonable.
Okay. And then that gets you, that's like $60 million. And then by then, you've got a franchise that's $500 million. You made $440 million profit.
Yeah. And you mean the franchise is in your slot in that
Well, the
league?
team, yeah. The team itself.
The team itself just through everything.
It's like it's an asset.
The
It's an
asset.
asset.
It's grown.
Grown, yeah.
But that's also not because of the growth of just your team, but also the industry itself, right? Like a lot of them are relying on the industry to still growing.
That's right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then you would need to really get in here. It's like, okay, will a franchise get to the $500 million? Because at the end of the day, there has to be money coming in to make it a business is a business. At the end of the day, these teams are businesses, right?
That's right.
They're not non-for-profit organizations.
No.
Okay.
Well, that's what they're run like at the moment.
Yes, that's right. Well, the idea is just growth. And I did some digging, you know, especially on the lower end of teams, right?
Well, let's actually, before we go into the numbers here, right?
Okay.
We need to clarify to the average. We got to talk as if people don't really understand how the business models work and how sponsorship works.
Yeah.
Okay. So we said before 90% sponsorship. It's the majority of money. If you look at like a team like TSM or whatever it is, they have all these massive big title sponsors. You know, some of them have like, was G2 have like BMW and stuff like that, or Mercedes or something like that. There's some big sponsorship deals.
Yeah.
The reason these brands do this, Nathan, what's the reason these brands want to be involved with these teams?
Well, so right now the market's so new. It's not like a traditional sports where you know it's like, okay, I have a little signage here. This is how much it's worth for market rate or whatever compared to stadiums.
Because think about you're a brand. Say you're like Gillette, right? The shavers.
Yeah.
And you know, well, there's actually Gillette Stadium, isn't there, in America somewhere?
I believe
I'm pretty
so,
sure there's
yeah.
literally Gillette Stadium.
Yeah.
But anyway, you know what you're gonna get. There's X amount of people attend this stadium. X amount of people watch this game every single year, and this is where the sign's gonna be. It's very tangible. You know exactly what you're gonna get. You're gonna have an ad here on the TV, and there's X amount of people who are gonna see it. You're paying for eyeballs and the KPI, like the key performance indicators from these brands. It's very easy to hit, and you know what you're gonna get. The thing with esports is that it's different. It's just so different. First of all, they're still trying to understand the audience. They don't really know how to understand how to, like, because there's no stadiums, right? So it's like on broadcast things. No one knows how effective they are. No one knows how to integrate the actual brand with like content. Like, they don't know what sort of content to make.
Well, right, I've tried some things like on the Rift and stuff, like extra branding and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
there.
So what we're trying to get at here is that it's very new, and we don't really know. These brands don't really know what they're getting for their money, so they're just making up a number. You know, it's like, all right, it's a new industry.
It's like this other brand.
This is what we get on like a game we watch. These are this many people.
Our competitors paying probably this amount.
This is like the market rate as of now. Let's just because it's so new.
They're testing the waters as well. Like when LG came on board with us. They had no idea what they got themselves into. They just wanted to be a sign.
So LG was a sponsor of Direwolves, and they just came in and said, like, we don't know what's going on. We don't really know what's going on, but it's in that space. It sounds pretty cool and innovative. Let's just get in there, right?
Yeah, and I didn't know what I was doing because that was the first sponsorship I had.
Just like pulled out a number out of your ass, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And same for HyperX in a way. HyperX was a sponsor. Nathan's actually got the shirt on right now. HyperX share, right? Direwolves.
Free advertising.
The money we got from HyperX there wasn't real KPIs, was there? There was no real...
Well, HyperX was a little bit different because HyperX, their entire marketing strategy was through esports. Does that make sense? Because they'll trying to be the esports...
Well, they're an endemic sponsor in a way. They actually sell keyboards and mouse, so it actually kind of makes sense.
Sort of same with LG for monitors.
Well, endemic sponsors is essentially let's be very base. Let's explain everything. And an endemic sponsor is someone that's within the actual market.
Keyboards, mice, chairs, desks.
And an endemic sponsor for tennis would be like a racket company, right? Or a tennis ball company.
Or socks or
shorts, whatever it is, right? So endemic sponsors kind of make sense, and they kind of know the value because they can think, all right, if X many people are watching this, a percentage of them might buy our keyboards versus our competitors. And that actually was a successful strategy for HyperX. Actually, it worked for them. But non-endemic sponsors, how many people are going to buy a BMW or a Mercedes? What does that mean?
Well, the idea is that
Kia motor. Kia is DRX Kia, and one of them teams in LCK is literally Kia something.
Kia, yeah.
What does that mean? What's that worth? I don't know.
It's hard to tell.
So what we're getting at
here... Well, so we think the business models... We think the esports ecosystem is a joke, essentially. Don't we, Curtis?
Yes.
That's
simply put.
That's the point. It's right now, it doesn't make sense.
No, to be more specific, it's a bubble.
It's a bubble, yeah.
It's a bubble that is going to burst. And people are going to lose jobs. It's going to be a shit show, in my opinion. I mean, it's our theory. Anyone who's watched the movie The Big Short, there's a character in The Big Short called Michael Burry. Michael Burry is the movie about was it 07?
08 crash.
08 crash in the housing market.
Yeah. And
he was like a hedge fund manager. And Michael Burry predicted, he was like reading into like all the mortgage bonds, right? He was saying how this person, he's literally getting into the details. This person hasn't paid their mortgage. This person hasn't paid their mortgage. This person hasn't, and then they go out there, send people like trying to understand what's happening with the housing market. Oh wow, this person has like 8 houses. And like, there's just this huge marketing, like housing market bubble. And so he gets into the details, and he's like, "Holy shit! I got to call bullshit on this whole thing. Like, I got to tell people I got to create a new thing to short, right? So he creates a new
to bet against the market.
He tries to bet against the housing market, which had never been done before. No one had ever bet against the housing market
because it was so stable for decades.
So stable. But he saw this was a bubble, right? But no one believed him. Everyone thought he was crazy.
We're the crazy guys.
Well, this
I feel like it. I've been trying to work it out.
We've been spoken about this.
Yeah.
And this is gonna be. People are gonna think we're crazy. But this is the reason. At the end of the day, we are not in esports. One of the biggest reasons.
Yeah, we think that we don't want to support the ecosystem because we think it's just not valid right now.
And I don't feel safe being in esports.
Yeah,
I don't feel like I can actually create a livelihood in esports without just my job just being made redundant instantly.
Yeah.
I don't believe, and plus there's a whole other host of problems that we've probably gone into in this show with like the lack of professionalism in the industry and how we don't really want to be a part of that as of now anyway. But the main one is the esports business model just being fundamentally flawed and esports being a huge bubble that is going to collapse. So what we're going to try and do is talk through why we believe this, what our stance is on esports, and why we think it's a massive problem. And what I'm trying to do, Nathan, is clarify the problem with sponsorship. And how sponsorship works first before we actually talk about the problems of it, sorry. So that's what I was trying to get into. A brand approaches or vice versa, a team approaches a brand.
I've always viewed sponsorship as a very fickle form of money. Because at the end of the day, it's a separate company who has their own incentives, okay? They could pull that money out any time they want.
Sponsorship money is the marketing department in general is the first money to go. As soon as like a business goes through financial troubles, the first budget they're going to cut is the marketing budget, isn't it? Or like sponsorship, specifically.
Yes, most likely. That's one of the first things.
It's one of the first things to go. They can't afford sport. Why would we support? We got to figure out how to actually create a good product first, or create a good service, or
we got to survive.
Or survive. Right? We don't need to sponsor this esports team. That's the last thing we want to spend. I want to save this $200,000.
I mean, they don't even know where where the money's going. What's it's doing? Yeah,
it's kind of like investing in cryptocurrency or some shit. You have no idea. You know, like. It's the same thing, or like a hedge bet on some like crazy stock that you have no idea about that could just pop off, but it's like a 1% chance that it's actually going to work. So yeah, that's the other thing. So it's very fickle money, right? And who knows? Okay, let's just actually think about you're creating a budget for an esports team. We sit down together, Nathan. Say we're in Direwolves here. And we're trying to figure out how much money we have so we can actually figure out, okay, what players can we or can we not afford? How many coaching staff or the quality of coaching staff can we afford? What sort of housing or office space can we afford? How many computers can we purchase? What's the quality of the food, get the budget? Can we get a personal chef? Whatever it is, right? We're trying to figure out the budget. How do we run this operation? In order to create a budget, you've got to know how much money is coming in. You've got to know your revenues. When you're relying on sponsorship as a key 90% of your revenue, when that can just be taken away, and you're trying to forecast, right? You do a budget, something for a year, 2 years, 3 years. How can you forecast that? You're just hoping that that sponsor doesn't go away. You're hoping that
or the market doesn't take a hit in some way, and then
you're just
sponsor goes down.
How can you budget around this? Look at Golden Guardians. Golden Guardians.
It's a perfect example. So that they relied on daddy Golden State Warriors for money. The NBA took a hit from COVID. Their budget gets cut. Bam. Done.
And have to get a shit roster.
Yeah. And they were in discussion for good players as well.
Yeah, and they had to cut it all completely.
Like that right there. So that's a little crack, okay?
That's a crack. That's one crack. We're going to talk about multiple cracks here.
Another crack here. The Fnatic crowdfund raise. They raised $1 million, something like that. And the whole marketing bullshit was like, we want you to be a part. No, we're broke.
It's the money grab. They're broke.
We're broke, okay?
Echo Fox,
that whole thing exploded. And I was looking at a couple of the teams, right? So
this is the equivalent of Michael Burry going into the actual files, the Excel spreadsheet, getting into the mortgage bonds and seeing Sally from Arizona, mortgage, overdue, 6 months, underpaid. Larry from Chicago, mortgage. He's just getting into the fucking details here. This is what we're doing, right?
I'm trying to get some facts here. So Immortals, the LCS team, they have 47,000 subscribers on YouTube. So I've only gone over YouTube because I feel personally that YouTube is such a good measurement to see how engaged an audience is. Because video, at the end of the day, video is everything. Video is everything nowadays. It just is. You know, like you have Facebook, Twitter. It's just a post with a picture. Instagram.
Shit.
You know, it's like it doesn't mean it's because a video is you're sitting there spending time watching it, right? If you're on Instagram or Twitter,
if you're a genuine fan of anything. You're going to, like, if you're a fan of Conor McGregor, you've gone on YouTube and you've typed in Conor McGregor.
That's a big time investment. And I'm watching an 8-minute UFC embedded thing.
Video on Conor McGregor.
And I've watched the whole series. It's like 50 minutes gone.
Me too, yeah.
But looking at some Instagram post or some Twitter tweet, that is very little time, right? It's not actual, like, my attention is there, you know? Yeah. It's there, but it's not. So, like, Immortals here has 47,000 YouTube subscribers. A bunch of their player interviews for the whole LCS team.
This is their main roster. We're talking about
main roster.
And think about this comparatively to other sports. In League, you have 5 players. Okay, 5. In the NFL, I don't know how many. In AFL and these sports,
you have like 30, 40
huge
players.
Huge rosters of people. Think about then. Therefore, if you only have 5 players on your team and they're the only people you see every single time they play, surely they have to have a bigger audience or a reasonable, at least one of them have to have a reasonably big audience. So on the YouTube channel, they have player profiles.
300 views a piece. Xerxes 303, Raze 260, Revenge 258, Destiny 233. I looked at EG. EG don't even use YouTube. TSM are really big on YouTube. They have 2 million subscribers. They have really big on Fortnite and stuff like that. It's not just League of Legends.
Not League, yeah.
But at the end of the day, they're still getting like 100k views. Cloud9, same, 400,000, 450,000.
Subs.
Their League content's getting upwards of about 50k, you know, ish. I guess that's pretty good, 19,000.
But that's the thing, C9 and TSM are like outliers.
Yeah, they're outliers.
That's the problem. And this is the toxic.
They're the best of the business in terms of...
I mean, they make money because... I mean, they could. We can't assume, right? We don't know if they're profitable or not. But it's like Liquid. There's like 3 teams. It's like Liquid, C9, and TSM.
Yeah.
It's like you can't.
Well, they've done the 90% of sponsorship well because they just collect it all for themselves.
They've done it, yeah. And like every other team is less to rot. You can't have a league where only 3 teams are profitable. How is it run? You can't. But even then, right? You're saying as like, Cloud9. Like
Dignitas, 74,000 subscribers on their YouTube channel, 1.4K for their team announcement video.
That's 1.4 thousand people.
Yeah.
Think about how many people work at these orgs as well, dude. Hundreds of those views are probably their friends and family.
Yeah.
Think about all the friends and family of the players, and then
That's right.
and the people who work there and everything. It's probably only 1,000 different people.
FlyQuest don't really post on it at all. They have a Welcome Johnson video for 5K, and he's a big name, Johnson, right? He was like a super hard player. So there's no real attention for these teams. Yes, they play in the LCS, right? And the LCS gets a lot of attention.
Yeah.
Okay, but then we need to think about it as well. So
What's quality? We're gonna look at the quality, dude.
at the end of the day as well, it's about okay, put yourself right now. If you're a fan of LCS, I want you to tell me how much money you've spent on a team or on the LCS. Okay, you compare that to a traditional sports fan. They've bought ticketing, merchandise, a lot of merchandise.
They get like food and shit when they're there. At
food
the
at the event. Well, that's sort of like with venue.
Think
and stuff
about
like
us.
that.
We buy. I've spent more money on UFC than League.
Yeah, that would be true. We buy the pay per view. Yeah,
But we buy the pay per view. Buy the
Yeah.
pay per view many a times.
Yeah.
Think about that.
yeah, it's true. Yeah, and we're like in the industry and stuff like that.
I mean, we're kind of not the best example,
Yeah,
but
because
I would
we're
say
not.
that's a pretty accurate. Because remember, buying Riot points is not you're not that money's not going to esports.
Yeah,
that's
that's separate.
completely separate. Think about you're contributing to the esports economy by buying a jersey, going to their small studio. What else? I guess watching in a weird way. There's nothing.
They had the pro view, but
The pro
was
view, I
that
guess.
big, you reckon?
I think it was okay.
That was good. That's a good step.
That was
I
good.
think.
That was one of
that's
the
what you want.
that was one of the good steps. It's
Yeah.
like a scalable model, which was like a great service.
But
I think it was
again,
good.
that's not to the teams. That's actually, well, the teams theoretically get a revenue share of that, but like Riot have to cover their
yeah.
costs.
I think the
first.
icons and stuff are really good as
That's
well.
true,
The
yeah.
icon and skin sales for the teams. That's
Yeah,
really good.
Yeah.
But again, we're talking minimal money comparatively. Let's say let's even push the boundaries. Because we've done the icon stuff before, right?
Yeah.
So what can we share about that?
Well, for Worlds when we went to China, I mean, it was pretty good. Again, it doesn't cover costs of.
Yeah, we're just talking about how much,
teams.
roughly how much. Can we say a ballpark figure?
Yeah, it's like 40K, 50K we made.
So we're 40-50K from icons, right?
Icons.
And skins.
Well, that was the world. That was also the Kazakh skin that
That
we
was
had for
the
Dire
cool
Wolves.
Kazakh skin. So a lot of people around the world bought that skin,
Yeah.
right? Now compare that with, even if say let's push that, let's triple that for like a really big team.
Well, no, we wouldn't triple it for a big team. We'd like, let's say 10x it. I'd 10x it.
10x that for like a
500,000.
TSM.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just get that to 400,000.
Yeah.
Okay, you made 400,000 for one of the best teams in the world.
Yeah.
Now think about one player salary. One. They're on like $1 million deals. The average player salary in the LCS is like 350,000 US. Actually, remember that was AUD, 40,000 AUD.
No, sorry, it would have been, I think it was 27,000 US.
Oh, yeah,
Which
right.
is about 40,000 Australian or 35,000.
Right. So about let's just say 200. Let's say 300,000 US then.
Yeah.
One salary in the LCS. That's one salary. You
Yeah.
just covered one salary.
And you had to make it to World.
You had to make it to Worlds, and like they had to do this amazing skin for you, and
Yeah.
everyone had to buy that,
Yeah.
which is not a
And
reliable revenue
it was
stream.
the audience. That was the huge audience.
That's the
a
biggest
special
audience you
event.
could possibly get.
Yeah. It's an LCS audience.
So what we're getting at here is that the revenue. Okay, at the end of the day, what profit equals revenue minus expenses. There's very little revenue with a hell of a lot of expenses.
That's right.
This whole thing would be fine if it was a small scale operation. Think about it.
Yes.
When in the history of any sport has there been this much money and actually survived long term? Like there might have been like some weird sport at the start that just got a shit ton of venture capital money, like created like what is it? Remember that?
Well, I mean, the biggest comparison is you look at soccer teams; they're just owned by billionaires. It's like a
But
little play.
they're not a
thing.
business. It's just like a play thing, right? Play
Yeah,
thing.
theoretically. Well, it is a business, but it's like more of like a cool thing. It's like I own the soccer team, I'm a billionaire. You know?
Yeah. like an NBA team in a way. A lot of like rich people, but they're not like that profitable.
Yeah.
Is that the way it's going to head?
Well, yeah, I think in general, I think sports teams in general. I mean, even if we look here as well in the AFL, we have, it's huge here, right? Like we'll sell their grand finals 100,000.
Yeah, but I don't think we're just going to get as many billionaires buying into an LCS team than we are going to get a traditional sporting team.
Yeah, well, right now, but again,
as
maybe, but that's the hope, Curtis.
That's the hope.
That's what I'm saying. That's really what the business model is, and we need to accept that.
So what you're saying, Nathan, is that we're in denial about it being an actual business, and we need to kind of accept that it's not really an actual business and that it is more of like a play thing.
That's right. Yeah.
It's the denial of that existence.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've obviously got to try and sort of make money, but it's like, I mean, is it even worth trying? Because it's just ridiculously.
Okay, let's even get more specific. So people are confused, right? Let's talk about sponsorship again. Let's just say you can't just have unlimited sponsors. You can only have a certain amount of sponsors before your jersey turns into a bloody sticker farm. You know,
Yeah,
like you can only have like.
Well, then it devalues all.
Yeah,
the
it
other
devalues
ones.
because there's only one or two major sponsors. You can't have like more than.
Yeah.
Well, you worked in this, Nathan. How'd it work?
Well, Riot actually have a restriction for. I think they actually brought in for us anyway.
Right.
How many you could possibly have, like in terms of spots, like one there, one on the shoulder, one on the left shoulder, one on chest, one on the. It's like 4.
So there's like 4.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so there's actually not many. So let's just say, let's push it, and let's just say you could have 5 really good quality sponsors, right? Now, you can have like, we know how long it even takes to get one of those good ones. You know, whether it's, over an XL with BT, whether it's like a big Mercedes one for G2. But those big ones like G2 and stuff, it makes sense for them to like get a good sponsorship deal because they have mass eyeballs from going to Worlds and all the international events every single time, right? But okay, let's just get 5 of them. And say each one of them is worth, let's say each one of them is worth $500,000. Okay? So we have 5 $500,000 sponsors. In the, which is insane if that was the case, right? We're talking fairy tale land here. But let's just say that was the case. And you were making 2.5, right? That'd be right. $2.5 million of sponsorship a year in part of your revenue.
Yeah.
Think about the costs of running a competitive LEC or LCS team.
Especially with some of the salaries you hear and stuff and the buyouts and...
So just think about that. You're not going to be able to be competitive, remotely competitive, even if you have that. Even if you have 5 $500,000 sponsors. 5 of them. You're only making $2.5 million a year. It's like, what, 2 players? 2 good players.
Yeah. All right, well, how about you double it? Let's say it's $1 million each sponsor, $5 million.
$5 million. You could barely cover... you could probably build a roster for that. A solid roster.
Yeah.
We're not even talking all the other expenses. You got to get content creators to actually deliver on these sponsorships. These sponsorships require
that's
content
one
to be
thing,
made.
and then
That's huge.
you don't just get the money.
You don't just get the money. It's not like just you got to make content with it. So this is huge. Sometimes you got to hire production companies, right? Or make your own production company like Liquid. They did their own little thing, right? Then you got to have housing, apartments, office spaces.
Yeah, and some of those office spaces are ridiculous. The TSM, the 100 Thieves facility.
Boot camps.
Yeah.
We're talking...
flights and...
massive expenses.
Stuff. Yeah, it would be... To run a bottom tier, like a really budget team, would probably be at least 2-3 million. And that's a budget team.
Budget. That's like getting the worst players.
Yeah.
Dude, you'd be pushing them to do it for 2 million, dude, honestly.
Yeah.
Because about the amount of coaching staff.
Yeah.
And you got to have academy.
Yeah. That's true as well, academy.
You got to have academy as well.
Yeah.
So you got to have... let's think about what some of the roster, the salaries you're seeing in amateur and academy. I would say ballpark figure, most amateur players... Oh, no, sorry, not amateur. Academy.
Yeah.
In NA are making 6 figures.
Really?
Yes.
Are you sure about that?
That's what I've been told.
Okay.
All right? Between... this is what I've been told.
Isn't the minimum is like 70 or something?
It's between
like that?
80... Oh, yeah, around 70. Between 70 and 120.
Yeah.
Majority... I would say the ballparks, the majority of them are seen between 90 to 100. US. 100,000 US. Right? That's just the players. Again, you have another 5 players, which is another $500,000 essentially US. Not including all the coaching staff. Not including another housing apartments. plus the main roster. The expenses are unbelievable. Unbelievable. Now, who's to say, you know, a brand, like we said, COVID, downturn, we're cutting some of these budgets here. Quickly, snowball effect. A few pull out. You know, we can't afford these players now. We've got to downscale, go to less players. There's going to be so many of these players getting their value just gone, devaluing. So what's going to happen? You're going to have, we're saying, this player over here is worth $2 million. This player can't even afford like a $200,000 contract for him. What's going to happen?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me. So this is what I'm confused about, Nathan, is like, what's going to happen in the long term?
Well, again, the long term, the thing that everyone's hoping to happen is that these become $1 billion, and then they will make all the money of selling that off.
And then we have to say that this is the other flawed thing about sponsorship, is that the LCS is competing against the teams.
Everyone's fighting for the same thing. Yeah.
Think about that. So the LCS itself has to compete. They're trying to get sponsors for the league, but they're competing for the same sponsors versus the teams. So every team and the league itself is competing for the sponsorships. How ridiculous is that?
And then that's a whole another like 10 teams. Woo! I mean, there's definitely like a lot. Marketing's a huge industry at the end of the day.
Massive.
Like advertising, right?
Okay, now let's actually go back now.
But again, you're signing up with teams with 1,500 views on their YouTube channel.
You talk about 1,500 views. Yeah. No views.
You know,
or
like
50,000 views. Think about Cloud9, the biggest. 50,000. I get more than that. I'm an independent YouTuber. I put up most of my videos are sitting around between 30 to 60, 70. This is my point. This is at the end of the day. You've got an org, Cloud9, spending upwards, you know, we're talking tens of millions of dollars, having the same amount of people who are genuine fans as me. A guy sitting in my bedroom making YouTube content by myself, editing everything by myself in my little bedroom here in Australia.
That's what I always love. Like Tyler One is more profitable than like every esports team.
Individual content creators are more like, just have more fans. We're talking about more genuine people who follow them. Like right now, Broken by Concept, I would guarantee you, Broken by Concept podcast has more fans than like Dignitas or some shit.
Yeah,
I would say
as much as we can toot our own horn, Curtis.
No, like I'm being dead serious.
Yeah, well, I mean, we get more eyeballs on our videos than Immortals player views. Yeah, it is interesting.
If you're a hardcore fan of your team, you're gonna watch the player who's on the team in Immortals, right? Aren't you? You're gonna take the time to actually understand who the players on your team. There's only 5 of them. So there's not many of them. And how many people watch those?
Oh, there's about 300 views on each of the videos. Yeah.
Nathan, there's more people watch our 2-hour-long podcast than actually getting to know their players that are in their main roster. That's scary.
Again, given that these budgets are $2 million.
Given everything behind them, and given how much these players are getting paid, given how much is in that industry. That is a bubble and a half right there.
It's definitely. I mean, I don't think you can deny it. But again, like the hope is that these become $100 million. Again, the investors make the money.
What I'm scared of, Nathan...
But the industry doesn't sustain.
It's not sustaining. What I mean? No, because what's going to happen when the sponsorships get devalued? Once the actual brands realize how little value they are getting, the value of the brand space is halved, quartered, instantly. What happens then? Everyone's salary gets quartered. All the costs of production, everything. Downscale. That damages the reputation, the reputability, and the actual integrity of the sport itself. And then there's going to be a rebuild period. So this is my timeline. We're in a big bubble. Boom, boom, boom. Money, $1 million salaries, huge sponsorships, fancy. Now, oh wow, there's actually not much here. You know, I'm a sponsor. I'm a company here. I'm paying $500,000 for this sponsor. What am I getting? Think about it. I could put this $500,000 into so many other areas: Facebook ads, Instagram ads. Instagram influencers, individual content creators, a traditional sport team. There are so many areas to put it, right? Okay. Boom. Wait, I realized, this is, what am I getting for this? I'm not getting much. You know what? I'll give you 100,000. And then these companies are desperate for money, right?
And they just have to take
I
it.
will take it. We'll take
choice, yeah.
Devalues they're going to have to take it eventually, right?
Yeah.
So, boom. They see one brand get like $100,000 sponsorship. What does that mean? Snowball effect. Every sponsorship deal, they realize eventually what it is, for what it actually is. They lose all the money, revenues are corded. Now what's going to happen, the industry will deflate. It'll pop, the bubble will pop, it'll burst. Then there's going to be a very like massive down period where like everyone's like, fuck you LCS, Riot sucks.
The players will be angry.
Players will be fuming. All staff are going to be fired. Heaps of coaching staff. The amateur team scene's going to get hurt. The academy team's going to get hurt. Like there's going to be a lot of tears, and then it's going to be a slow rebuild. The proper way, because this is what should have happened. What should have happened is that this whole thing got blown out of proportion
because of all the hype. This is the next sport. This is the future of sport. Look at all the views. I mean, at the end of the day, the LCS, the World Championship, you can't look at the World Championship numbers. There is something there.
Something there.
But it's just not done correctly right now. I mean, again, it's like I think, what is it? Get more views than the
Super Bowl and shit.
The Super Bowl and stuff like that. But remember, we're taking into account China.
Just remove China from the whole thing, right? Yeah. And only look at the eyeballs for your area. Because think about a marketing budget.
We're very focused on LCS, and we know nothing about the Chinese.
No, but a marketing budget for a North American company, they don't care about Chinese eyeballs. No. They only care about American eyeballs because that's who they're selling to, their product or their service. Right? An Australian or even an Asian, a Chinese company, they don't care about North American or European eyeballs. They only care about Chinese eyeballs. That's their customers. The customers are from China, not from America. And what should have happened at the very beginning is that, okay, guys, this is so new. We don't really know what territory we're going into. Yes, we can put a little bit of investment up front to grow it or to get it started, but let's manage our expectations here. We want to grow this healthily, and we want to do this in a very sustainable way. Let's make sure that we'll give you a few years to get up and running, but if we're not making money, that's it. We got to pull this back straight away. First few years, this should happen. And you know why I reckon this all happened, Nathan? It's because League itself got big.
Yeah, League is big.
League is
big.
Again,
the audience is there, but we actually know ourselves. A lot of people don't actually watch esports.
Dude, so many people don't give a shit about esports, dude. Even I don't even watch that many games. I would much rather watch the high elo SoloQ players than competitive play. I watch the odd G2 game or whatever it is because I think those teams are fun to watch, you know, because they actually have history. G2, TSM.
There's like a rivalries and stuff.
I don't mind those, but it's like occasionally. But like, I'd much rather watch like Mango Fish Fizz and Korean SoloQ, you know, or like the best Yasuo PC Zhang, and that's cool.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we all play League for, dude. We don't play it competitive. A lot of us don't even really want to go to high level.
Well, again, there's in terms of the incentive as well to watch it. It's like I remember a lot of us going. Like if I think about me growing up, right? It wasn't so much the game football. I didn't even really know the players. It was the experience going there. It's like we're going out to see the footy, right? And
the experience itself.
And if I was to think about how much my family's spent on us going to AFL games over the years, you know, the whole experience, you know, getting there, everything. It's probably and the merchandise. It's probably upwards of $5,000. To maybe 10,000. We actually had a membership for a couple of years. That's our contribution to the club, to the ecosystem.
Where's the contribution here?
Yeah, you know,
there's no memberships.
No,
there's no fan experience. Nothing.
The money has to come from the customer.
It can't come from sponsorship.
No,
you can't have
You can't have a good, beautiful business, a reliable business based on sponsorship. End of story.
Bloody hell, dude.
So, but apparently all these organizations, they're in it. I mean, maybe they know something we don't, but they think that they're going to be able to. Their spot's so valuable that in 5-10 years they're going to be able to sell it for 10x, and then they make money.
Look, if we're going to go full roast here, dude, I can somewhat understand the say a brand wanting to be associated with a a UFC fighter or an athlete of a tennis or AFL, whatever, because they're real professionals.
That's true as well.
The actual what you're endorsing, we've seen this, and what the other reason why I think brands are getting scammed. So look at what we've said this many a times. The players that are representing the brands a lot of the time are just toxic. It's like they're not going to represent the brand. We've literally heard pro players say, I don't give a fuck about my fans. Think about that. You literally have players that just couldn't give a shit, dude.
Yeah.
Compare that with other sports. They have to love their fans because that's their livelihood.
Yeah, that's how they make money. But again, you can get the whole narrative for the players is money just comes out of thin air. Yeah, and it does. It does right now.
Yeah, that for players, but that's what you're told. Come here, we'll give you this money. No questions asked. None of the players are, so where's this money coming from?
No. And this is the thing. Let's say if we're a coach for a team, the first thing we're asking is like, where's my money coming from?
Where's it coming from?
Just venture capital. Great. You know,
if my salary is getting funded through venture capital, I do not feel safe.
Or sponsorship.
Get me out. I'm terrified. You think that's a bit? And think about that, dude. We would not want to work for a team unless it's long term, because that's how you build something, right? You don't build something overnight. You're gonna have to be at an org, developing your system, developing your coaching philosophy, building and playing with a specific roster for years. We're talking at minimum 3, 4, 5 years, right? You don't even know it's going to exist in 3 years. How do you know you're just not going to get removed instantly?
It's so funny as well, actually. I was watching the TSM Legends. And it's funny how everyone's in this mindset. It's a 1-year timeline for everyone.
Yep.
Bjergsen literally said I think we're going to be like a really good team this year. Bjergsen probably is long-term focused. Yeah, at the end of the day, he's big with teams, but it's because that's the mindset. Because we have a new roster next year, so this year we're going to be great, but next year is another year.
New players,
that's the default mindset. We're in a 1-year timeline.
Shocking,
all the time in esports.
So sad. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot here. I mean, we probably just scraped the surface, and I think.
There's something, again, I would love for someone to come on the show that it tells us that esports economics makes perfect sense. We're all wrong. These teams will be worth $500 million in 5 years.
I want to hear that.
I want to hear that.
Me too.
I want to hear the specifics of why
that's the case. I just want to hear we're wrong because, we've been on the side. We've been on both sides. We've been on the side now of content creation.
Yeah.
And actually really giving value to the community and what that can lead to. Then we've been on the side of esports. We are so disconnected from your fans, if you even have any. Because the players don't even give a shit about the fans, and there's no incentive for the players to even give a shit about the fans because they got to focus on playing. There is nothing there. There's nothing. So what I'm saying is that it's not that esports can't work. It's that the way they're doing it now is not the way it's going to work, and there's going to have to be way more creative solutions. New business models, new innovative ways to integrate a brand.
And I don't think esports necessarily needs to be in a stadium every week.
No.
I think that right now it's fine to just be all online, but we need to figure that one out.
We need to figure out what's it going to look like. How are these teams? There has to be new, I guess, solutions to these problems. These are not unsolvable problems, but it is unsolvable if you're putting in so much money. Because we know the pressure of a business. If you're $2 million in the hole, $3 million in the hole, $4 million, $5, $10 million in the hole. How do you get out of that?
You don't. You don't get out of it.
You don't get out of it.
You sell the team for $200 million and then give them the debt. You know what I mean? That's what you do.
And you know what? I care about esports in the sense that I think it could have been a really beautiful thing, a pure thing. And this is going to cause so much damage. Irreparable. Some of it's going to be irreparable. And look, we might be too early. We might be 5 years too early right now. We right now, this might not have. We might not see the repercussions of what we're saying on this podcast right now for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. We don't know. Like Michael Burry in the Big Short, he had to sit on that for years and actually lose money, and then and then it actually came true. So we'll see what happens, I guess.
Interesting times ahead, Curtis.
Before we get into the questions and stuff, I actually wanted to talk about the TSM Legends.
Okay.
While we're on the esports train.
Okay.
Now,
so this was the episode for the first week, right? It was like released a couple of days ago.
I love psychoanalyzing, right?
Yeah.
We love psychoanalyzing.
Is it psychoanalyzing or is it judging, Curtis?
I don't know.
I don't like to think of myself as someone who judges, but again, it's like thinking about like this is this current state of the esports industry.
So let's look at TSM, right? So TSM, one of the most prestigious.
They have the most wins, I think, of any LCS team. Yeah, they do.
They're massive brands.
Yeah.
If you think of NALCS, you think of like TSM, you think of C9, you think of Liquid.
Yeah.
So they're up there.
Yeah.
Got big names there. You got some Hooney in there, Sword Art, Bjergsen as a coach, Lost, Speaker. You got Power of Evil. You got big names in there. A lot of money being thrown around. A lot of coaching staff. We know some of them as well. Jack, pretty well. A lot of investment. A lot of money's on the line here. And they're trying to win, right? They're trying to win titles. Look at TSM they call it TSM Embedded.
UFC Embedded.
I literally nearly called it TSM Embedded. TSM Legends. That's what it's called, right?
Yeah.
And there's a let's give before we get into the specific, we've got to give a bit of background information here.
Okay.
In Direwolves, across our time, we've had a few, we've had our own fair share of conflicts as me as a head coach.
Between you and the players?
But between me and the players specifically, right? I've learnt the hard way.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do in SoloQ. You got to fail. You got to try fail.
Yeah.
I've had my fair, even though I won and had a lot of success, I had a lot of failures internally as a head coach. I had to learn the hard way, right? I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And what I realized was a season of a competitive season from start to finish is an absolute marathon. Now, there is one of the most scary things about living in an office or a gaming house and like just you're scrim all the time. You're around each other all the time, and you're having these painful experiences every single day. Lose scrim, win scrim, lose scrim, lose a game on the LCS, come back, high pressure, high intensity, high stakes, pressure from the fans. What actually happens is that I believe that in order to have long-term success, and especially across the course of a split, you need to be able to tell people as it is, how you feel, what's bugging you, get it off your chest, get into the details, move forward. But what happens, and this is the way I guess league culture is, and we know this, is a lot of the people who play league are at home, in their bedroom, not really associating with many people, probably very introverted, and afraid of conflict, right? They're very afraid of conflict. And when you're in this, you try to go to the environment, you try to make friends, right? You try to be friends with your teammate. You don't want to cause trouble. So if you're frustrated, what I've experienced, and I've said this has happened every single year I've been a head coach. Doesn't matter what.
The camera just die?
That's right.
All right, our camera died. What were you saying, Curtis? Sorry?
And it doesn't matter what, who the players were, what ELO were, how good they were, where they're from. Doesn't matter what it was. We had imports, we had Korean imports. It doesn't matter. What happens, the way they express their frustrations is through memes and very passive-aggressive jokes. So, for example, instead of saying to someone, look, Nathan, you say you're my jungler. Say, look, Nathan, I'm really frustrated with your champion pool right now. It feels like you only can play Kane and Rek'Sai, whatever it is. Instead of just having a conversation, so this is how I feel. What is your champion pool? Are you working on your champion pool? What do you need me to help? Can I help you with that? What champs do you, getting into that discussion? It's like the way it will be said is, there'll be a conversation, and then I'll be saying, I'll be.
God, this game would be so much easier if your champ pool, it's like a joke.
Oh, unlucky, my jungler can only play 2 champs.
Yeah.
And in a really funny, they'll just laugh.
Yeah.
Or, if only... lucky we have a Kane in this game. It'll be just passive aggressive, just bullshit. And because no one wants to and it actually hurts them in the moment, but their way of dealing with that is pass it off. More passive aggression. And then you say something, Curtis, if only my mid laner didn't die to level 3 ganks every time, or whatever it is, or just say laugh, or just blame each other. And then they'll go to the coach, hopefully this time we can win a draft, guys. It's a very passive aggressive bullshit. And that it's just a never-ending circle. And there's a lack of leadership in esports. Any coach. We don't see real coaches. They don't call this out. No one calls it out.
Well, they're part of it.
They're part, and they
That's what
encourage
we
it.
were part of it.
And what happens? And then whenever, if you were to come in, if I were to come in and say, "This is just bullshit, guys. What are we doing?" It's like, Curtis, you know, no, we're just trying to have fun, relax. You know, like they'll just say, like, pretend it's nothing. It's very bad because that's not how you build meaningful relationships. That's not how you actually have high quality discussion. That's not how you get into the details. That's not how you make create new ground. That's not how you innovate. You got to find the source of the problem as soon as it happens. Get into it. Boom. Now, go on to TSM Legends. There's a scene where there looks like maybe it's pre one of their games, and they're like, or maybe after one of the games, I can't remember, and they're just sitting around the office in the gaming chairs, and then like Speaker makes a joke about like, hopefully we just win draft this time, and then Bjergsen says, if only my mid laner could play more than 2 champs, or...
Well, I think it was the more general things like with your champ pools, it's like 2 hours. It was like
Is this like, and it comes off as joking?
Yeah.
And in the moment, you don't even, because you're in it.
Yeah.
When you're in that environment, you don't even realize it's happening. You're just in the shit. Like you're just like, oh yeah, that's just the way it is. You're usually not thinking about it. But this is the job of a head coach, a real cultural architect. That's what a cultural architect does. They pick up on these little things, the way they're saying it, the tone, their body language. And look at even the way they are talking in their post-game reviews. It's shocking. That one of them's like the coach is looking down, like touching his arm like this. Like the coach is looking the other way, like up in the air. They say very genuine things. Yeah, I think it was like that early game. Our early game just needs some work here, whatever that means.
There's something about stable. Early lane phase wasn't stable.
Yeah, our early lane just wasn't stable, whatever that means. Just general bullshit, low quality discussion. You know, funny jokes, masters, personal jabs. This is week 1, and this is the honeymoon phase. This honeymoon phase will last about 2 or 3 weeks. Boom, they'll get into the shit week 4, and then that's where things get messy. Rinse, repeat.
And that's when those jokes come back, but then they're...
Yep. Then it turns into a conflict session in week 6, week 7.
Yeah.
Everyone sits around a little table.
Yeah.
Says, I hate you. This is why. And then, oh, look, we just lost. I've lost all my confidence. Power of Evil's lost all his confidence. Sorry, guys. TSM are now announcing Niski as their mid laner.
No, that happens after a year, Curtis.
Yeah.
That's the year timeline.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So they stick it out. They start thinking about the roster
and they try and
moves.
Band-Aid solution, because they've left it too late, right? They haven't addressed it at the core issue in week 1, week 2. Band-Aid. And that's what happens every TSM. They always say it just crumbled at the end. That's why we just lost it at Worlds. We lost the plot at Worlds. Because there's no stability. There's no core. And then new year, new mid laner, new team.
Yep, new team.
And this is why I'm terrified of esports. This is one of the biggest, most prestigious teams in North America.
It's interesting. I mean, remember, they're putting this out.
And this is out to public. Anyone can look at this.
Yeah. But that's just the standard. No one talks about this, though.
No one talks about it.
It was like, oh, it's just standard. Like, because everyone's like, they're good at the
Nathan,
game.
You know why no one talks about it? Because they haven't experienced it. I mean, my situation as a head coach, being pulled out of it, like I've experienced it, and rather than being like a coach that wants to be a head coach and like, because if I wanted to be a head coach in like an ALCS, I wouldn't be saying all these negatives, because I wouldn't get a team like this, would I? Because I'm pissing off everyone right now. Like anyone from TSM watches this, they think I'm a dick, right? Or some like other coach from like EU, at least they're being like, oh, this guy, what does he know? He doesn't know anything. He's been some trash coach, whatever it is. Like no one's gonna be like, you know what, this guy actually has a pretty good point. I actually want to come on board with him, and like no one's gonna say that. Everyone will be this defense, you know, and just say it's bullshit. Like if you're in it, and you're gonna deny it. And you know the other terrifying thing, the only person that can bring that up is someone that is not scared to lose their job. Bjergsen is probably the only person in that team that could change that environment. It won't be the assistant coach, because the assistant coach, he's on happy chappy mode. He doesn't want to piss off Bjergsen or Kays or any of the players. What does he know? He's got Sword Art on his team. He's got Huni. He's got Power of Evil. Big names. You can't tell Speaker to stop memeing, because the Speaker's going to turn around and say, oh, it's just a joke, man. Ha ha ha. And then the assistant coach would be like, no, but you know, this is not what we stand for here. And then they'll just ignore him. Then he'll be on the side, and then he won't be able to build a relationship with the players.
And then the player goes to the coach saying, like, or other players, and then they're like, okay, well, we don't really like this guy, and then they start
mingling, forming groups. And
and
alliances.
then he's there, and then he's gone,
out.
just kicked.
Or they'll even talk to other players saying, "Oh yeah, complains about my coach," and then he won't get picked up by other teams. They're scared. These coaches are scared.
Absolutely.
Bjergsen's the only one that would be able to change that, and he's in the shit, so he can't. And it's just a never-ending cycle, dude. Year in, year out. We're like, what? Esports been around for 10 years or something like that now.
Well, I'd say we really started in season 3, so I'd say proper LCS has been around for
8 years,
6-7 years.
All right. But I don't.
Yeah, 8
there's
years.
very little trajectory, dude, in terms of professionalism. Think about what you see now comparatively. It's to season 5. Not much difference, dude.
Well, again, go watch the UFC embeddeds, okay, and watch how professional the athletes are.
Now, it's insane, dude.
You want to get behind that as a brand. It's a beautiful product. The UFC. Product. These are true professionals.
True athletes.
You can compare, all you literally have to do.
We're not even talking about just because it's physical. It's the sheer discipline.
Yeah.
It's the way they conduct themselves. It's the taking responsibility, facing adversity, all this stuff.
Just watch some UFC content. Again, the UFC embedded series. If you don't watch UFCs of the last week, they have all 2 million views each. Watch how those athletes act, and then look at to maybe your favorite pro player, how they talk.
Look at how Conor spoke in the post-fight interview. How classy he is. You know,
this also actually ties into the economics, the business of esports. Because I mean, I'd say even as fans, a lot of you guys will probably not actually fully respect players. Obviously, you have the skill level, right? You know, players like Double, you obviously can respect these. They have huge legacies, right? But all the players around them and stuff, it's actually hard to sort of see, what's going on there. Is that someone I want to be?
Yeah, dude. I don't know. Yeah. We're in the shit. Honestly, that's what's happening right now.
And again, as you said, it's hard to see when you're in it. That's us. That we were in it, and we made so many mistakes.
And I realized until way later, I didn't realize we all pieced it together. We and Nathan had to come up. We had this conversation. You know, we realized that the business model sucks. Esports is not ready.
Yeah, I would say it's not ready.
It's not ready right now. And needs way more years.
It's not ready to take things
I want the bubble to burst first, and then I'll reconsider,
Yeah.
And then the professionalism just getting exposed. Lack of professionalism getting exposed. You know, and then I can be a part of that rebuild. You know, I'd be a part of that rebuild. Come in, not get paid much money, but just be a part of it as a real project where I get listened to. Then I could build something cool, but anyway. So hopefully that sheds a little light. Look, I would love to hear back in the comments. I'm so fascinated to hear what people say.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff here people haven't really heard this side of it. So yeah, love to hear back from you guys. And if you want to hear more about this sort of stuff, we could talk about this for ages. There's so many areas of esports that we can expose.
Yeah.
But
we just don't really talk much about esports.
No, we try not. We try to avoid it as much as possible.
Well, this is for the reason because we
didn't want to come across as just negative Nancy.
yeah. We need to
or seem like just crazy people, shunned.
Yeah,
these guys are just crazy.
Yeah, dude. Don't listen to these guys. What do they know?
Yeah,
from OS.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so we'll jump into questions. We're gonna have to do a little break pause while I get the questions up. Right. So we'll be back in a jiffy. Alrighty then, we are back for Nathan's Mailbag, the segment where we help people solve people's problems, don't we, Curtis?
We try to. Yeah,
I wouldn't say we just solve people's problems.
No. We have a crack.
So this one we're going to have a crack from is from Joe. The title of the email is called Losers Queue. Uh-oh. Hey Nathan and Curtis, Joe here. I love the podcast and the work you do. Been listening since episode 1. I'm a Zoe main on the OCE server from Canberra and have had the opportunity once to play against Nathan's famous Braum support before. What a privilege, Joe. What a privilege. Anyways, today I wanted to ask about Losers Queue and whether you think it's all just a conspiracy or really exists. I've been watching a lot of Gross Score recently, and he uses a website called losersq.gg, which supposedly tracks your previous teams to determine whether you're in Losers Queue. I've also seen a video which proposes that losing more keeps players interested more in the game, supporting the theory of Losers Queue. I was wondering whether you think losers queue really exists or if it's a conspiracy made up by individuals to deflect responsibility from themselves. Personally, I believe in the latter, but I found this topic to be an interesting topic as it gains much attention throughout the streaming and LoL community. Thanks again, Joey. That's so interesting. It's a conspiracy theory, apparently.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Apparently, the game puts you in losers queue, so then Riot just do it intentionally. It's like this player's winning too much, so he has to lose to keep him hooked on the game.
No, I thought it was the other way around. I thought, because I heard something somewhere where if you lose a lot of games, you actually do go into losers queue in a way.
Like if you lose games, not
yeah.
win games.
So say like it recognizes that you're like losing a lot. I think or like it thinks you're a troll. It will like kind of put you in worse quality games.
So how does it determine worst quality? So you'll be with a bunch of other people that are just...
Yeah, a bunch of other people that are losing a lot, in a way.
So you never get out of it, you're stuck in there?
Well, that's what the system, I think, is trying to punish you for being a troll and get you out of there faster, in a way. Maybe.
Okay, I guess maybe sort of makes sense.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I saw that somewhere. I don't know if that's true or not.
I just gotta laugh at this, Curtis. I really do.
I mean, regardless if that's the case, if you haven't been trolling, I don't think it's a problem. I mean, if you've been... I don't think... Okay, first of all, losers queue, I'm assuming what it actually means is you get queued up with people that are on your team that have like really bad negative win rates and lose a lot more than they win, and they're on the decline. So they want to kind of get them out of there quickly.
Okay.
But at some point, where does that leave you? Like, what happens? You can't just keep losing because like eventually you get to iron, and then like what happens then? But then the opponents would be so, a very low level, and that you would just win anyway. So that's what I don't get.
Because you'll be above that wouldn't be your skill
Yeah,
level.
like it wouldn't make sense.
Because at the end of the day, our philosophy is your skill level is the exact determination of your rank.
That's right.
At the end of the day, let's say you randomly go on an account, and then for some reason, like your internet disconnects.
Look, let me say something. I'm gonna put this out there.
Okay.
I've boosted in the past.
You've boosted in the past.
That's
Are you
right.
serious, Curtis? I didn't even know that.
You didn't know this?
Oh yeah, I think you did a little bit. Yeah.
I did some pretty serious boosting.
What year? Let's just refrain. What year is this, Curtis?
This was when I was in university.
It's disgraceful, Curtis.
Yeah.
Continue on.
So I did some. Yeah, this was before I was the Coach Curtis or stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I went on an account. Let's just say this. I've been on accounts, a range of different accounts, and I would guarantee that people would get to Diamond 1 at the time. I didn't really want to boost above Diamond 1.
Yeah.
So I'd get from people from Gold to Diamond 1, whatever it was, and that was my service. It didn't matter how bad the MMR was. So I don't know, it was always, you could just get out by playing well. And, for example, for me, like bronze to gold, 24 games in a row win, stuff like that. It's like what I'm getting at here is that, like, regardless of whether or not your MMR is bad or you're in a loser's queue, I think that if you are good enough, you're just going to win, dude. Like, let's just say it does exist.
Well, not even if you're good enough, if you're improving.
Oh, no, let's just say it does exist.
Okay.
For the sake of this argument.
Okay.
Let's just say there's a thing where, like,
yeah,
it puts you in this MMR weird bracket thing that, like, it pairs you with other people on your team that tend to lose a lot of games and be reported. I firmly believe that if you keep losing, at some point you'll be in such a low level of play that is lower than your standard that you will be able to just recover. You might temporarily go down a few divisions, but you'll be able to recover eventually. Because think about it. You're playing with subpar players. The enemy also has to be subpar players at some point, even if they're better than the enemy. But if you're so far above, then you can just prove the system that you don't deserve to be there and you keep winning. So I don't really believe it exists, but if it were to exist, I don't think it's a big problem. Maybe in the short term, yes, but not in the long term.
Yeah. I mean, if you think...
I would say 98% of the people that use the term losers queue are purely deflect.
Yeah,
it's just like a funny way of saying that their team sucks. Isn't
Yeah.
that what they say?
Yeah.
That's why they say it.
Mm.
It's like, they think it's funny. It's a funny way to say their team sucks.
Yeah. Or again, they're in those games where they're just actually unwinnable, and you get those games as part of the experience.
Part of the experience.
So I think it's absolute ridiculous that there's a website call it. It sickens me
Well, this is the problem with the streaming culture.
that the
as well.
streaming culture pushes this.
Yeah,
it just that just pisses me
And
off.
this is why
doing
the
so
streamers
much.
are just—it's just a meme, dude. It's just entertainment. You shouldn't view it as like.
Yeah, it's
But
entertainment.
even if it's entertainment, it's sending a message.
yeah, it's still sending a
regardless.
message,
Yeah, that's the
and
toxic
it's
thing.
making people tilt. And as we know, for people that write into the show, they get upset in real life, and then they
Yeah, it has a
abuse
negative,
their-
it has a
their-
negative effect
their
on
negative
every area of their
effects.
life. Yeah, that's the scary thing.
You know what I mean? It sickens me. It really does. And if this gross score guy does that, like, zero respect. Like, zero respect. It's pathetic. It's actually pathetic.
Yep. But as per most streamers, dude.
God, it just rolls me out, Curtis.
Yep.
I love to just review that guy's gameplay. You know?
No, Nathan, he doesn't actually play to improve, dude.
No. Well, anyone... Okay.
You
well,
can't
yes.
review someone's game, but they actually don't play to win.
Yeah, but just to highlight, okay, you are in... It makes perfect sense why you're in the ELO.
Nathan, it's not. They're not. They're trying to be funny. It's an entertainer.
Okay. I think they're serious.
No,
Curtis.
I don't think so. I can't believe it. It's like I genuinely don't think Tyler One's serious. You know, like I don't think Tyler One genuinely tries to improve.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Like yes, he plays and he cares about winning, but he doesn't care enough about winning that he doesn't. It's not like he's on his stream and he like queues up and seriously VOD reviews. So anyone, if you don't do that, end of story.
Yeah,
You're
that's
not
right.
trying
You're
to
not improving.
So
That's
it's like
correct. Yeah.
you don't. There's no getting into the. There's
Yeah.
no,
So then don't push that message. Then.
yeah, I
The
know.
losers
You
queue.
should say, "Yeah, I know why I lost." Bang. But that's not funny, Nathan. You gotta say it. They gotta be funny. You gotta be entertaining. I mean, surely they could be entertaining other ways, though. But yeah, I know what you mean.
All right, this one here is from Calvin. Hi, Curtis and Nathan. I watched the Ultimate Guide to Season 11 episode, and it was extremely motivating for me to have a video I can rewatch to keep me on track. However, yesterday was my first day playing ranked games there that weren't placements, and despite going 3 wins, 2 losses, I was super demoralized. I was trying to do the 2 sets of 3, but I couldn't finish the second set of 3 because my brain just felt so drained. That's a good
That's
thing.
good.
That means you're
yeah,
focusing,
that's awesome, dude. That's great.
Why would you be upset about that? My goal for the day was to get a minimum of 6 CS per minute, and I did this for all my games. On the 5th game, I ended on a loss where my entire team, including myself, did horribly. My question is, how do I keep my hopes high despite keeping to my goal and following your sets of 3 rule?
I think, dude, that's a sign. Listen to your body. That means maybe you're not ready to play that many intense games. Maybe you're new to it. You're gonna build that tolerance up, dude. Like you're probably used to playing 9 games or 10 games of just like autopilot games. Slow it down, relax. Maybe you can only do blocks of 2 for now. Maybe you do two blocks of 2. Maybe you do 1 block of 3 and take a really big break and then play another 2 games. Something like that. That's what I would say, dude.
The other thing as well is you get enough sleep. I mean, then the question is like, okay,
Diet. That's where diet comes into play.
Yeah.
Exercising. Are you exercising at all? Sleeping well. What's your sleep schedule like? Yeah.
Because
Lifestyle.
it's interesting, Calvin. What you're doing here now is you're solving. If this is really really want to play 2 sets of 3 and you feel like you can't do it, what's the problem? Okay, I need more energy.
More energy.
How do I get more energy?
That's where sleep. Eat well. 3 meals a day. Good 3 meals a day. Exercising at least once a day. Sleeping 8 hours.
And you said, how do I keep my hopes high despite being like, dude, we've just started, man.
He's played how many games? 5 games.
Yeah. Don't overthink things,
Yeah,
Calvin,
relax, man.
Just
5
relax,
games in.
dude.
You got 995 to go. All good, dude.
Well, yeah, we've got 10 months of the season to go, you know?
Yep.
All right, this one's from Logan. Hello, Nathan and Curtis. As always, everyone always prefaces, can't thank you enough for putting in on the podcast. Been binging it recently and it has opened up my eyes to the correct mindset to playing ranked in LoL. As such, I have had a very positive outlook on ranked this season and have been seeing just how impact my own gameplay has on the outcome of my games. Excuse me. Onto my question, which has 2 parts. First part is for Nathan.
Yes.
I've been struggling recently to find my identity with Graves. So this is a jungler, obviously, who is my most played jungler this season and last. During preseason and the beginning of season 11, I found that you get outpaced by most other meta junglers because your farming speed is too slow and your ganks are not potent enough to reliably run all over the map ganking. His real strength lies in the ability to invade and intercept the enemy jungler, but I find this to be an unreliable strength. You can't invade every game, whereas you can power farm or gank in almost every game. This lack of clear identity makes me not able to enjoy the champ as I used to. My question is this: how do you interpret Graves' champion identity, and do you think This effectiveness is hindered in low elo due to not being a good spam ganker, Nunu, at least Ivan, or nor a power farm in Olaf, Hecarim, Kane. My elo is mid-gold for reference. So that is still his champion identity, and you need to play to that strengths. In some games, you're not going to be able to, and unfortunately, that's the sacrifice. I mean, at the end of the day, Graves, he's not the best ganker. Are you scared about getting ganked by Graves, Curtis? What do you not like about Graves? What's annoying for Graves for you as a mid laner?
He's just like, it's just threat, just damage. Like I can't. Sometimes it feels like whenever there's a skirmish, like we just lose.
Yeah. So you don't want to walk into him.
Yeah, I don't want to walk into him. Like he controls space really well. Yeah, he's that W. And
the way that I view Graves is you're like a sentry turret.
Yeah.
And sentry turrets are very like shitty and like immobile. Like the sentry turrets, like in games and stuff, they don't just like. If you're out of range of them, they're pretty not threatening. Like Graves just doesn't want to run into a bunch of CC abilities and stuff, right?
No, but it feels like Gale Force really makes him much better.
I would say so as well.
Like Gale Force is a big game changer for him.
Yeah.
I think.
You don't build that every game on him though.
Right. All I see is Gale Force Graves though.
But I would say that
Shieldbow sometimes.
Yeah, the Shieldbow sometimes. Again, he's like a sentry turret, and wherever you are, you're going to create some sort of pressure. So you want to be. As you said, his strength is those level 2 invades, late invading level 1, and some games you can't do it. And again, he does have weaknesses in terms of champ select, I'd say. But if you're competent enough overall in terms of understanding his strengths, understanding when you can't invade and stuff, you still can farm on him, and then you're going to be playing for fights. You're going to be looking to out skirmish. It's going to come. He's very mechanically. I think he's very hard to play mechanically to pull off successfully in team fights. I think he's a very difficult champion.
I think Graves would be a hard low elo.
Yeah, I think he's difficult. Yeah,
because he doesn't have a clear identity.
Yeah. I mean, that is identity. Because identity, you need a lot of game knowledge and map awareness to execute it correctly.
There's some champions, Nathan, I don't know if you found this for jungle, but for mid lane anyway, they scale with game understanding.
Yeah, that's
what
right.
I say.
Yeah.
So, for example, like Twisted Fate, he scales with game understanding. Orianna scales with game understanding. You can't... But there's other champions that you don't need it, and they're effective without game understanding. So I think that Graves is one of those champions. Not to say you shouldn't play it, but it is a little bit trickier. But like Nathan said, I think you just have to develop the skill that is needed the most, which is finding. I mean, I don't know much about jungle invade timers, but I would get into the details like when you can and can't invade.
Because what's probably happening is you're trying to overforce his identity. And it's not working in some games, which insta lose you games.
Really? Again, the way I interpret this email from him is like he's actually not seeing enough opportunities.
Potentially as well.
And he's just getting outpaced by enemy junglers, so he's not getting... And like his laners are dying. So I feel like if his laners are dying and he's getting outpaced, that means he's not invading enough.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Because Graves is always spotting the enemy jungler, in my opinion. Yeah. When I have Graves on my team, they're always spotting the enemy jungler. So ganks should be much harder for them to get off. That's the way it's like the way I see Graves, and this might be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but like the way I see Graves winning games is it's less about you doing things, it's you
denying
stopping
things.
Denying what the enemy can do.
That's right. Yeah. Which is again where it invades and tracking. You've got to track. Tracking should be a
lot. So I'd get specific and develop those specific skills.
Yeah.
So you'd have to ask Nathan about developing those skills though. I don't know how to go about that.
All right. Second part of the question for Curtis and Nathan. Curtis, you're now involved in the question time. My second most played this season is Udyr, who is my most played champion overall, and I'm extremely comfortable with his identity, and I know my role every game in every team comp. Should I just stick to Udyr, or is it worth for me to struggle with a champion that I feel lacks a clear identity?
He's a jungler, right?
Yeah.
What do you think, Nathan?
So Graves is first played, Udyr's second most played. I'm extremely comfortable with his identity, and I know my role in every team comp. Should I just stick to Udyr, or is it worth for me to struggle with a champion that I feel lacks a clear identity? I mean, there's not many champions that lack a clear identity in League of Legends.
No. Or it's like just less clear. It's kind of how I feel with Echo right now, but yeah. It's less clear.
Yeah, so I think if you're fine with Udyr right now, stick to Udyr and climb.
The problem with Udyr is like, what do you learn?
Yeah, Udyr is. I mean, I wasn't.
This is the problem with Udyr, dude, and why it's like you see it now, but like
you don't learn skill shots. You don't.
Nathan, Udyr was the reason you kind of got screwed.
Yeah, I got my league career was screwed
like if you could go back in time.
Yeah.
Like you would probably not do it that way.
I wouldn't.
Would you? You wouldn't play Udyr.
No.
Save this guy, dude.
Yeah.
Because this goes against champ identity, but at the end of the day, the champ just sucks.
His kid's fundamentally outdated.
Yeah.
I mean, I say that.
His kid is fundamentally outdated.
He literally gets picked in SK.
But it is outdated.
Yeah. Yeah.
End
There's
of
no
story.
question about it.
Because, like, regardless if he's played now or not,
He'll go away.
He will go away.
Yeah.
The champ sucks.
Yeah.
Like, you look at a kit like Lilia or, like, any of these, Nidalee, and then look at Udyr's kit. End of story. So, look, this is the thing, Nathan. We sound so, like, we sound hypocritical.
We tell you to love your champion, but don't play.
There's just certain champs. This is the problem with League and why I said they released too many champions.
Yeah.
I mean, this is going to be a whole other episode. We're going to talk about why I think Riot actually really messed up with the items. I think we have to make another episode on this.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll talk about it next episode.
Because it's just, it's out of control right now. But and how do we got to come up with a clean, succinct way of structuring what we are
I think so
right
as
now.
well.
Because, like,
all over the place.
Yeah, we say that champion identity is important, and it is champion mastery. It's so important.
Yeah, and enjoying the champion you play.
And enjoying the champion you play, which ticks both box. And he will get the most success. I'm saying that will get, if you played Udyr right now, you will have the most success in SoloQ for the short term.
Yeah.
For the next year.
Yeah.
You'll probably get to Diamond. You could get to Diamond with Udyr, whatever it is, right? But we're talking 2 years down the track, 3 years down the track. You're just a worse player. So it depends what your goal is. My advice, might be different than Nathan's, is question your goal. If you want to be the best overall jungler over a long period of time, then don't play Udyr. Maybe have him as a niche situational pick. But if you want the best short-term results and you're just only playing for this next year, or you just want to get to Diamond, then play Udyr. That's it. Super simple. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
I don't think Udyr equips you with the skills. That
If you were to go all in, if you were to more all in Graves, and like let's say you add like an AP champ, maybe Lilia or Eve, I think I'll be more happy with that, to be honest, than Udyr.
Yeah, agreed.
You know, I mean, Nunu sort of gets memed, but Nunu teaches you how to gank well.
Does.
Like you're not a solo carrier like Eve or something like that. You need your teammates to win the game.
Yep.
So that's what I would recommend for you, Logan. All right, next one here. Is from... Actually, I think we already answered that question. Is from Nathan. And the title of this email is called Managing Tilted Teammates. Heyo, my name is Nathan. Welcome, Nathan, to Nathan's Mailbag. And I've been playing League for a while now, but I only started taking it seriously very recently. Over the past month or two, I've been starting to review my gameplay, awesome to hear, and paying more close attention to my mentality. And because of that, I've gone from low bronze to high silver with a win rate of 70%. I always try to be extremely untiltable and positive towards my teammates, complimenting them and praising them as much as I can. However, I've noticed that many of the games I lose are due to my team tilting, shutting down and giving up because of the slightest things, since so many low elo players have garbage mentals. Is there a way to prevent this from happening or manage these teammates when they start tilting to bring them back into the game? Or are these players just so prone to tilt that I won't be able to stop it from happening no matter what? I mostly play Cassiopeia, so in these situations I just end up taking all the teammates' resources, since I'm pretty confident that I can carry late game in most cases, but I'm not sure if that is the right way to go about it, or if taking my tilted teammates' resources will be a viable strategy as I get into higher ranks. I also worry that doing this tilts my teammates even harder, when my goal should instead be to minimize how tilted they are. Thanks for any help you can offer. So in League, I would say that typing in chat is never going to untilt someone. Like the form of communication of typing, and it's the same thing on stuff like Twitter and all that sort of stuff, a text conversation, I feel like, can never convince someone to change emotion. What do you think?
I agree and disagree at the same time.
Okay.
There's two things I will say here. The first one. Your job sometimes in a game is to simultaneously do what is best for you, but at the same time, make your teammates' life easier. Now, there are times where you do these actions and it may not have any effect, but there are times where you do them and they have create little micro advantages for your team. An example would be pinging where the enemy jungle's location is way in advance, or to place a deep ward and ping when they show on that ward and ping what side of the map they're on. And another one would be to call way in advance when something is going to happen. This group on this objective, Wayne, whatever it is. You're just doing things or saying things to make your teammates' life easier. Now, the other thing I would say is that there is a way of talking. You're not going to ever say anything in chat like, cheer up, or come on, it's fine, we can win, don't worry, we can win, whatever, I can carry it, don't worry. Like, that's never going to change anything. But what I've found to be actually quite useful is saying only actionable things. So if you say, for example, give this dragon, hover me topside a minute before the dragon spawns, a lot of the time the reason people tilt is because they actually don't know what to do.
What to do next, yeah.
So if you say actionable things, then they might not... It's like they won't...
They might not listen to you, but it's sort of like saying, like, this guy's trying. Like, okay, I might as well follow this play because this guy looks like he knows what he's doing.
But it's also... They may not stop them from tilting, but at least, like, because when you tilt and you feel really confused, you're like, well, what do I do? The game's just over, right? In your mind, you're like, I just don't know I genuinely don't know what to do. I don't know how to win this game, so I'm giving up, right? That's what tilt is a lot of the time. Yeah. But you'll literally say, okay, if this guy says, give dragon, push mid, hover me topside, then even if they do it while tilted, it's actually preventing them from doing something that's really disastrous.
Yeah.
Which can sometimes stall out the game. So that's what I would recommend. Give actionable things. Never say something that's not specific. Whether it's like, give this, trade this, hover me here, group mid, just specifics. That's what I would recommend.
Yeah,
Nathan.
I think spot on. Actually, I've been doing that recently in my SoloQ games. I've been like really typing and controlling things, and
that's the next level, by the way. That's how Calvin used to get rank 1.
Yeah. It's like everyone's like, people actually follow you.
They do. If you say it in a way that's constructive, ages in advance, they actually do. Like, people say that they don't, but they actually do. In a way, like, not every time, but people get surprised. I think that answers Nathan's question.
Yep. Well, I think that's going to be it for this episode.
Okay.
Was it a spicy episode, Curtis? What's going on?
I hope so. I hope it was spicy enough.
Turning up the heat on the BBC podcast.
Again, I'm just interested to hear what people say back, dude.
Yeah.
That's it. So let us know in the comments.
We read all the comments. Sometimes we slack on responding to BBC comments.
Yeah, we're a bit busy at the moment, but we definitely read them. It's just hard to respond to everyone.
Yeah.
I try and respond to all ones on my YouTube videos, and it takes me forever, dude.
Yeah.
But I make an effort. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys.
We'll see you next time for the Broken by Concept League of Legends Extravaganza podcast.
Podcast number 36 next time. Or 35.
I think it's 35, Curtis.